pay plus taxes and fees required. Check out in 15 minutes or less per line. Visit T-Mobile.com.
From the TriTubular.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3 Indianapolis.
It's Query and Company.
I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours.
You are not going to believe the company.
This company.
You're going to bankrupt your mama's company.
At least I have the radio to keep me company. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So we are, and I realize, I totally get it. The fact that we are in a new studio, we're in a new location, that's relevant probably only to us, right? I mean, the reality is, I don't know how many people outside of what we do, you turn on your radio, 93.5 and 107.5, and there we are, right? That's how it works. But we have moved into our new location. We made mention of that yesterday, that it was our last day on Monument Circle in our old building. And so here we are in the new digs. And Eddie, you have to absolutely love this. You've got to be so thrilled. This has to be matter of fact, you designed the setup in here. I'm used to this. I've done this before, but this is new, right? In the fact of we're
apart. We're not in the same room anymore.
That's right.
I don't know if you're thrilled about that or not. I don't have to smell your cologne, so I am beyond happy.
Now, wait a minute. Are you just now confessing, now that we're in different rooms and I can't do anything about it, the fact that my cologne sometimes gets a little strong? Is that what you're saying?
I've confessed this multiple times. I don't know. That's not really breaking news by any stretch.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes, in fact, hygiene is very important to me. But nonetheless, we are in a new building, and so therefore, the one drawback here is, in terms of from where I live, my commute is a little shorter than it has been in the past because we don't go all the way down to Monument Circle, okay? So when I'm thinking about things on my drive into work, admittedly, what I'm thinking about is a shorter depth of thought, right? Which that alone is frightening enough. But I was thinking about this. Last night, I'm watching the Purdue game, and Braden Smith had an injury, still played 32 minutes, and Purdue with the kind of game against Minnesota that you really expect from Purdue, right? I mean, the Iowa State game was clearly one that I know and I understand and I recognize and I respect that Purdue fans probably are looking at that Iowa State game and saying like, whoa, what in the world? And Iowa State's really good. And so too is Purdue. But you always want to see like conference play at home and the things that we come to expect from Purdue. And the things that we come to expect from Purdue really is what we saw last night. Trey Kaufman-Renn was, again, active on the low block, hit 7-11 from the floor. Braden Smith's running things, but you have that Braden Smith injury that takes place, right? And we'll get more into that. But anyway, so I'm watching the game. The game's over, and Shannon says to me, well, you got to turn over to the news. And I said, well, Shannon, there's the news that we're moving buildings tomorrow, that we're in a new studio, and a palatial studio, by the way, and it's beautiful in here in the Radio 1 building. I mean, this is, they're still working out some things. I think they're probably going to put up some things inside here in the studio, but it looks great, and Eddie and I are in different rooms, but I can see Eddie and whatever else. And I'm saying, Shannon, that's not going to be like the big story. And she said, no, there's something else. And I said, well, Philip Rivers. That, to me, as I was driving in today, I had an epiphany about the Philip Rivers story and notably the Daniel Jones side of it that I haven't heard a lot of discussion about, and something that's a real potential positive for the Colts. But that's not why. No, it wasn't that she wanted. She said, I want to see the weather. Okay. I want to see what it's going to do tomorrow. I want to see if it's going to snow. I want to see if it's going to sleet. I want to see how cold it's going to be. I said, fine. And that's when I got to thinking, Eddie, this, and I had this epiphany. What dawned on me then, what I realized at that point, is that one of the things that we often mock, one of the things that we often talk about and discuss in society in general, is one of the narratives this time of year. Well, I'll tell you what, I should become a weather guy. They're only right 50% of the time, and all of that, right? And the reality is they're pretty remarkable, realistically speaking, because, and whether we're talking about Angela Buckman or Brian Wilkes or Todd Clawson, or I mean, there are fabulous weather people, Lindsay Monroe, there are fabulous weather people all over, Sean Ash, Indianapolis, okay? And then obviously, on our own, the WIBC, they will tell you oftentimes, we think this is going to happen, and then invariably, like within 2 minutes of when they said it's going to snow, it snows. And no one remembers the times that they're right. They only remember the times where they were off by an hour or whatever else. But what I'm getting at is this. I thought, they didn't say it that this was going to be the case, but I thought today coming into work that it was going to be like potentially slippery or treacherous or icy or whatever it might be. And you never know this time of year in the wintertime. You never know, and you always have to anticipate for the possibility of the roads being really bad. And what's the first thing people ask when they get to work and they talk to somebody at home? How are the roads? How are the roads outside if people have been out? You never know. You can forecast what's going to happen, and you can plan for the worst and then hope for the better or the best. And that's when I realized that for the first, not the first time, but our job typically is to talk about things that have happened. We react to Colts games. We react to Pacers games. We react to Indiana in the college football playoff. We react to Indiana beating Ohio State. We react to Purdue winning a basketball game. And our job isn't necessarily always to forecast, so it is easy for us to sit here and condemn those that have to do that when they are inaccurate. Having said all of that, that's when I realized that the reality is this. We are about to go into a storm forecast of the Indianapolis Colts. And the situation with Phillip Rivers coming in is kind of like when Shannon wanted to watch the weather report to find out just how cold it was going to be and whether or not it was going to be cold or actually warmer than we thought, and whether or not the roads were going to be treacherous and slick or, in fact, be pretty smooth on the way in, which they were. This is going to go one of two ways. I don't think it's going to go – there's no middle road here. This is going to go for the Colts with Phillip Rivers one of two ways. Phillip Rivers, I truly believe – is going to start on Sunday. Now, none of us know that yet. They haven't officially said that yet. But, Eddie, would you agree that all signs right now are pointing to the fact that Phillip Rivers is going to be your starter on Sunday in Seattle?
Did you not listen to Shane Steichen yesterday when we played that audio of the opening statement? Like, hey, I know you guys know this. We signed Phillip Rivers, but there seemed like some newfound energy inside of Shane Steichen yesterday when you listen to him talking. To me, you don't sign Phillip Rivers. You don't have this energy that Shane Steichen has seemed to refound in himself going into the game this week, and Phillip Rivers isn't the guy that's starting. And to me, everything just points to that, because I know Kevin Bowens mentioned this on the morning show. You don't alter the practice schedule this week to practice a padded practice nonetheless on Wednesday when they have been doing walkthrough Wednesdays for the past 3 weeks.
Right, unless you are setting everything up for that, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, so Rivers is going to start. The drama of this is awesome. The theater of this is awesome. What do we say, Eddie, about our penitentiary games? This weekend has some doozies in the NFL. Do you have the NFL schedule in front of you by chance? If you look at the NFL schedule this week, I'm guessing that they're flexing games in the penitentiary games. Now, the penitentiary games, for those of you that are unaware, I'm talking about a medium security prison in Pocatello, Idaho, where the guys were told that because nobody got in a fight this week over commissary, that they are going to be rewarded, and they get to watch just like you did in college in the dorm rooms with a common TV at the end of the hall where everybody crowds around and watches the NFL game. And we've always joked, there are one or two games where you say to yourself, the only people watching that game are people in the Pocatello Penitentiary, because why else would you be watching that game?
We've got two of them this week.
Okay. One of them, I'm assuming, involves the New York Jets.
No.
Okay. The Tennessee Titans.
No.
The Cleveland Browns.
No.
Okay. In your estimate, are you going with Washington and the Giants?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Okay, and now that we know that, by the way, and again, it's Mariota is going to start, right?
Yeah, like you're saying Mario. Yeah, Mariota.
Mariota, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's starting now that we know how to say his name. And Jaden Daniels is being shelved. He's done, right? Put him on ice. And then obviously the Giants trying to find out what they've got. And Jackson Darty said, no storylines there whatsoever. Okay, what's your other one?
The other one would be Carolina at New Orleans.
See, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I think Carolina's better than you think. I think Carolina's decent. And they're starting to, like, all of a sudden, no one's talking. And I'm not saying that Carolina is some, Super Bowl contender. But Carolina is, for a team that we assumed going in was going to be completely incompetent all season long. Carolina, I mean, sitting there, I'd have to look at the playoff chase in the NFC, but they are like one of those in the hunt teams, right? But I get it. New Orleans is terrible. I get it. Either way, this would have been probably if Riley Leonard was starting, going against that defense and a defense that's in the top 5 in the NFL in sacks, that would have been a Pocatello Penitentiary game, probably, right? Got a couple guys that might have spent some time, little B&E up in Seattle, so they're Seahawks fans anyway. They kind of want to see it. They're there in Pocatello. But otherwise, it's like, okay, here's a throwaway game. But now, this now becomes major theater nationwide. I mean, I'm surprised they aren't even I know that now the rules on the flex stuff or whatever else, they should flex this into prime time. Who doesn't want to see a 44-year-old guy with a very likable personality in Phillip Rivers, truly a family man, because his family is, 2 kids away from being an entire offensive side of the ball, right?
Yeah, he can make cheaper by the dozen in real life.
Yes, totally. Now, and as we saw, we don't know him well. In Indy, we don't know him well because he was here. Yes, he was here for a year, but he was here during the COVID year. He wasn't around it but yet yesterday, I thought Phillip Rivers sounded like oddly and favorably, I mean this in a good way, he sounded almost sentimental about being back in Indianapolis. And yet he was here and I think that's because of the people that he did know. He didn't know the fans. We didn't get to know him. He didn't know the media. We didn't get to know him. He didn't really probably get to know even the vast majority, oddly as it sounds, some of his teammates to the normal depths that you would assume in the NFL because it was that weird COVID year. And everything's being done via Zoom. I don't mean within the team itself, but you get what I'm saying. But he comes back. He's 44 years old. I get that for a 44-year-old guy, he looks to be in pretty good shape. But there's a total difference between being in shape and being in NFL. There's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape. How about being in football shape to being in NFL shape? He's going to have guys literally, or as Bobby Unser would say, literally. He's going to have guys half his age, running after him. And I know he can say, hey, don't get me wrong. When I was a younger guy, I was not running anybody anyway. He's right about that. And his throwing motion, like when yesterday somebody posted video of him practicing, and the common thought from everybody was, oh my gosh, look at Phillip Rivers, like he can barely throw the ball. Well, that's his natural throwing motion. He naturally stands and just kind of sidearm slings the ball, right? So we don't know what percentage of his velocity is there on his throw. We don't know, okay? And we don't know where this is going to go. We don't. I know it's going to be entertaining. And even if he goes out, and to use a term the kids use, he balls out, then it's going to be a massive story. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Or he's going to go out, and it is literally going to be, what in the world did the Colts just do? And it's going to be, and I love this guy to death, And it wasn't even necessarily totally his fault, but the entire experiment of Jeff Saturday coming in, and now all of a sudden you got Sam Ellinger, and people forget they won that first game, and it's like, holy cow, what are they doing here? And then they just wrote out the schedule. And it feels like the Colts are probably going to be in a situation where Phillip Rivers comes in, they take a loss in Seattle, they turn around, and then they've got San Francisco, and then Jacksonville and at Houston. And unless they win 3 of those 4, at some point they're going to say, you know what, it was worth a shot. It was Andrew Bynum signing with the Pacers. It was worth a shot, but it just didn't work out. It feels like that's the most likely conclusion. But when you make forecasts, you never know with certainty whether or not they're true. And I thought today that it was going to be a treacherous and icy drive down Meridian, and guess what? It was not. It was smooth, and I didn't see a snowflake. So in that regard, you never know, and that might be the way this goes. This may be, maybe he comes out and plays well. Maybe, and more importantly, and Eddie, it would feel that this is probably the safest bet, that Phillip Rivers' job is to take a snap, turn around, and hand off to Jonathan Taylor 35 times, right?
That would be ideal.
I mean,
that would be ideal.
But what if the ideal nature of it is such that Seattle defense is able to stack the box, and that's that, right?
Well, shouldn't that theoretically make it easier for Phillip Rivers to potentially complete passes?
True. I'm saying, though, yes. I mean, you use Taylor both to try to get him started, and if there's nothing there, then you decoy it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it weird for you to be in there?
No, I got a whole entourage with me. As
I know.
you can see.
I'm a little nervous because you have literally like 7 producers that are in there watching, because they're watching what you do. Again,
Yes.
Inside baseball here, behind the scenes, but I guess to set the scene. So we are in a new studio where and it is a large room, okay? And I'm in here, and you are in an offshoot of it with a window. When Derek Schultz and I did a radio show together, we were in separate rooms the entire time. Thank the Lord. And people were stunned by that. Like, I think people found that fascinating. Like, wait a minute, you guys aren't even in the same room? And I'm like, no. Now, I can see you through a window, but you are in an offshoot area. And we didn't even talk to each other until we came on, right? Which is kind of the fun part.
Yeah, I know, right? It should make these shows more interesting. I have no idea where you're going.
That is true. Well, did you ever?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Because, at the old building, we had to actually talk to each other because we're in the same room.
Fair. That's a fair point. But nonetheless, that's the setup here. And so, and you know what, Eddie? We're in this new building, okay? And we know it's like anything else that you move into. The building has been renovated. You know, when you walk into the building, there are still things being done. You walk in, it's a beautiful studio. It's a beautiful space. It smells like a new car. But you turn the hallway and you bump into somebody and you hear like, and something's going on. And then people are doing work, whatever else. But you can see the footprint, that that in the end, everything in here is going to be beautiful and modern and state of the art, and we're all moving into it. But there are growing pains between here and there, obviously, as there are with anything when you move into a new house, whatever it might be. And that feels like the situation with really both pro sports franchises right now in this town. We knew that the Pacers, for example, very early on with Halliburton's injury, we knew what the murky forecast was going to be. We knew what the uncertainty was. And they do feel like they have now started, because like anything else, change is hard. Change is hard. For those of us that work here, leaving Monument Circle, seeing the tree every day, coming down here, seeing the Soldiers and Sailors Monument the rest of the year, the events that take place on the circle throughout the course of the year, leaving that is hard. When you move into a new house, you get sentimental about the old one. You got to meet new neighbors. Oh, gosh, the place where I used to live, the trash was on Wednesday pickup. Now it's on Thursday. That's a change for me. That's new to me. And it takes a while for everything to kind of come into focus and for the vision to kind of all of a sudden come clear. Change can be hard. And for the Pacers, it does feel like that change now is starting to come into focus a little bit. Are they overly competitive night in and night out? Competitive, yes. Winning basketball, more often than not, no. But as they get ready, for example, to play in Philly tomorrow night, you have a better idea of who they are now than you did a month ago. And just as I talk about uncertainty and murkiness, we have breaking news to report, Eddie.
Our 2 o'clock guest, Tony East, shares on Twitter, the Pacers are signing Garrison Matthews to a standard contract today. A league source tells him, and additionally, as a move to open up a spot for Garrison Matthews, the team will be waiving Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Okay. Now, Matthews seems to me, and here's where you get, again, theme of the day, forecast.
You know, Jake, I'm just glad they realize they need a Garrison around every day. That's the key to success right there.
Okay, sure. Yep. If you think so, right?
Oh, I know so.
So what you get is you are thrilled over the fact that means that on the radio you get an Eddie talking about a Garrison, right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, again, forecast, theme of the day, things getting a little bit more clear. With Garrison Matthews, you could kind of see that forecast, and I'll tell you how. If you listen to this radio station, and if you listen to Rick Carlisle when he comes on the Fan Morning Show, Garrison Matthews, when he was signed, kind of a journeyman guy, but a guy that was essentially there because he is a streak shooter. And he is when he's on, he's a very good shooter. He did not shoot the ball well when they first signed him. And when they first signed him, through the first handful of games, he was not knocking down shots. He was not shooting the ball well. And yet, Rick Carlisle, when he came on the morning show, what did he say about Garrison Matthews? He kept saying, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically was saying, we really like what he brings. He's a guy that can do A, B, and C. Rick Carlisle talked about what Garrison Matthews can do versus what he has not yet done. And that, to me, told me I could tell they like this guy. They like him, and I think they are going to probably ride it out. Now, Robinson Earl, I thought, played really well for them in periods and in stretches, but I think his inability to mid-range and beyond shoot, which you need to do in today's NBA, kind of hurt him. Could rebound, but then you also started to get other guys that were getting back, getting into health that can do that as well. Isaiah Jackson has kind of taken on that role now with J-Hub. But my point being with the Pacers, that forecast may still be nothing more than a high of 55. But nonetheless, I think you have a better idea now of where they are versus what we thought a month ago where it was like, who are these guys? And for the Colts now, they enter into that forecast where we just don't know what's going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be entertaining. Phillip Rivers, I think, is going to start on Sunday. It's probably going to be Jonathan Taylor heavy, probably some Tyler Warren sprinkled in. But nonetheless, either way, it is going to be fascinating to watch because he did look. Now, Eddie, you tell me. You've worked with me now for, what, 2 years? 3 years?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And I'm 53. So at my age, admittedly, my weight can go up and down. Now, if I've gained weight or lost weight, do we see each other too regularly that you cannot tell if my weight has gone up or down?
I would agree because, when Jimmy Cook used to work with us on the midday show, Jimmy went through that weight loss journey, and when you see that person every day, it's hard to really tell.
And then you look at a picture, right? And you're like, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, in Phillip Rivers' case, you could tell. You could tell he's gained weight. Not necessarily like, wow, that guy's been sitting around and doing nothing but eating Totino's pizza rolls. You ever had those things?
Oh, yes.
Unbelievable. That's like college bliss. But nonetheless, not that way, but just he doesn't look 35 years old. He doesn't look 28 years old. And he joked about it, but, who knows? He kind of throws the ball the same way that he always did. I thought yesterday Jeff George said something fascinating when Jeff George said, all of the times, and I know Jeff well enough to know that there were a lot of times Jeff was going out and throwing and just keeping his arm in shape and keeping in shape because he loves the game of football. And one of the most telling things he said, I thought, yesterday was when he said, when we had him on, when he said, all of the times that I felt in shape, but I had not put cleats back on. And I had forgotten what it was like to put on cleats. And when I did, my footing was completely different. And I could feel it in my calves and in like my Achilles and my ankles because it had been 5 years since I'd put on cleats. And Phillip Rivers, because he's a high school football coach, maybe he is putting them on. I don't know. The point being, there are nuances of your body at that age that you didn't pay attention to and you did not hear beforehand. But with this situation and with the forecast being uncertain for the Colts, one thing I thought about today, there might be a silver lining in all of this. There might be good news in all of this, and it might be something that we were so hyper-focused on the main storyline that we didn't pay attention to the little anecdote at the bottom of the forecast. And I'll tell you what it is. I might have good news for you Colts fans on this front, weather term again, regarding their quarterback situation and its uncertainty. Brian Neubert going to join us 1 o'clock today. We'll get the latest on Braden Smith. We'll get into that as well. He had essentially a hand injury. Doesn't look like it's one that is going to limit him. He played 32 minutes last night. Tony East coming up 2 o'clock today. That Pacers news and more to talk about with Tony. And Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, at 2:30 today. You're listening to Query Company. Listen to it. It's a Thursday, right, Eddie? A Thursday that feels like a Monday because it's new digs.
Yeah.
Query Company here in the Fan.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. Like deals on your late-night go-tos when the party goes till dawn. And savings on their faves. So date night always passes the vibe check. Plus, when the fam shows up for the weekend, you can show out for breakfast.
Enjoy a $3 sausage McMuffin with egg or egg McMuffin and pair it with a $1.49 any size Coke. Price of participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Hello, sports fans. Let's talk about elite level snacking and your tailgate party. You have to have the spreadability of Win Schuler's original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar and the fan favorite jalapeno pepper. It is absolutely incredible. Win Schuler's great on a chip, great on a cracker, great on a vegetable, and you can find the spreadability of Win Schuler's now at your favorite Meijer location, Gordon's Food Service, and Neiman's Harvest Market. It's Win Schuler's spreadable cheeses.
107.5 The Fan and Franciscan Health present Good for the Heart Fridays. Listen to Jake Query every Friday to hear a heartwarming story from our local community. Jake knows firsthand the importance of heart health. Jake and The Fan have teamed up with Franciscan Health to make a difference, one beat at a time. Good for the Heart Fridays, brought to you by Franciscan Health Heart Center. Learn proactive measures to keep your heart healthy and schedule your heart scan at franciscanhealth.org/screening bundles.
911, what's your emergency?
Por favor, necesito ayuda. Está borracho y creo que me va a pegar otra vez.
I will get someone to speak with you. Please stay on the line.
Hola, tengo su ubicación. Ayuda está en camino. Getting past a language barrier is critical when first responders help Hoosiers. That's why the State 911 Board provides special tools for non-English speaking citizens to communicate with emergency services.
Si estás en peligro, aunque no hables inglés, podrás recibir ayuda en una emergencia rápidamente.
All Indiana 911 centers began offering translation services in over 240 languages in 2019. Now, people can send text messages for help in their native language to 911 and receive a translated text back from the dispatcher. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations.
Cuando llame o envíe un texto al 911, un servicio de traducción se asegurará que entiendan lo que está diciendo.
For more information, visit in911.net.
Gracias.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Oh no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Hellsberg gifts checked off the list. Now, time for wrapping. Earrings for mom. A gold bracelet to match the rings Danielle wears every day. And for dad, a new watch, because we all know he needs one. All right, this is gonna be a good one.
Our favorite things for your favorite people. Shop in store at Hellsberg.com for up to 50% off.
Your favorite song shouldn't have to wait for Wi-Fi. Switch to Straight Talk and get real unlimited data on Verizon's 5G network. Straight Talk, available at straighttalk.com or Walmart.
The Ride with JMV.
It's not like IU and the program. Scott Dolson and Kurt Signetti just didn't trip into something great here. Oh, all of a sudden we kind of fell into greatness. It's not like somebody, you're getting this inheritance. I mean, Kurt Signetti, his inheritance was crap water for decades. This is the greatest coaching job we have ever seen.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 till 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Here comes the sun.
Indeed. In the dark forecast that we thought was there for the Colts, I'm going to offer you a little bit of sun, okay? I'm going to offer you a positive. That's what I am, Eddie. I'm the eternal optimist, right? I'm walking sunshine,
You're
baby.
a beacon of hope.
Call me Katrina in the waves because I'm walking on sunshine. I'm telling you right now, okay?
I still find that odd.
What's that?
Katrina in the waves.
I know there's a little bit much, right? Okay. When Daniel Jones signed with the Colts, I don't need to go over this history lesson, but I will briefly. We all know it. I think we all thought, okay, the Colts aren't messing around anymore. They're letting Anthony Richardson know the time is now. They're letting Anthony Richardson know, okay, we handed you the keys too early. And you came back, and while you did bring the car back in one piece and you were only 10 minutes late after midnight of your curfew, there are a couple of door dings that were like, yeah, you probably weren't totally reckless, but you were a little immature and a little irresponsible with the toy that you were handed. And so they said, we're going to go ahead and get one of the seniors to drive you to school every day. And that's what we thought Daniel Jones was. They signed Daniel Jones because they went into TJ Maxx. There he was. And they thought, you know what, why not? That's what we thought. That's what I thought. Most of us thought, okay, Daniel Jones, if something's there, great. But he is there to push Anthony Richardson, to force Anthony Richardson into taking the craft more seriously, and to putting Anthony Richardson in the position of, okay, now I have a veteran who's been a regular starter for multiple years in the NFL to come in and just kind of make sure that I'm getting to the film room on time. That's what we thought his role was. And then as training camp goes along, Stephen Holder was one of the first that I can recall. Mike Chappell started saying, I think Daniel Jones might be the starter week 1. And we're like, really? He's playing that well? Well, it's not that. It's that Anthony Richardson hasn't, taken a huge step. And yet, at the same time, I kept thinking to myself, but a tie would go to the incumbent. And I think I said on the air, a tie goes to the incumbent. We know what happened. I think in hindsight, we can look back and say Shane Steichen, notably, but either he or Chris Ballard, one of the two, saw something in Daniel Jones where they said to themselves very early on, this guy was taken for granted in New York, and if you look at the situations where he was put in with advantage around him, he was very good, and he can be good for us, and he has been. And then, of course, the injury. Here's where the sun comes. Eddie, let me ask you, if Daniel Jones right now was still the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, if they had gone down and they'd won in Jacksonville, and they were 9-4 and they're right there in the thick, what is the storyline with Daniel Jones in regards to next year if he had never had either leg injury? What was the storyline at that point?
If he went to Jacksonville and won?
If Daniel Jones was maintaining at the same level that we saw through 8 games and did not have injury on either leg, what discussion are we having right now in relation to the future of Daniel Jones?
How much is the contract extension worth?
Correct. Now, when you look at this year's crop of quarterback free agents, if you look at the players that, if you are a team that is floundering looking for a quarterback, the Jets, the Saints, there are a ton of franchises that, sure, there are some franchises that have a young quarterback that that young quarterback is going to be their future. Tennessee, and they're just not very good. But there are other franchises that, and then there are those that have one that they're probably later in the process but still doing evaluation. Atlanta. And then there are those that clearly are in the market. But if you look at the market of free agents for quarterbacks right now entering into this year's postseason, Aaron Rodgers, okay? Does anybody want a guy that basically is half the time he is doing a coffee enema and the other half of the time he's in a geriatric ward? Come on. And drama just surrounds him everywhere he goes. That's Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson, yeah. Okay, how many franchises now are going to continue to be the one that thinks that they're going to be the one to find the last drop squeezed out of Russell Wilson? Been a great player in his career, don't get me wrong. Joe Flacco. This is literally the list of the most desirable free agent quarterbacks heading into this offseason. Joe Flacco. See what I said about Aaron Rodgers, less the coffee part. And then the guy that's going to take over for the rest of the year in Washington now, Marcus Mariota. I'm doing the Collinsworth there, right? So that's your list, meaning that Daniel Jones, if healthy, was probably going to be the top free agent in the NFL, and his price tag was going to be astronomical, at least astronomical versus what you felt for sure you had coming in. And now you're in a position where he still might be the most desired free agent on the market. but his price tag, one would assume, drops significantly. And if you are Daniel Jones, you probably have ruled yourself down now to two franchises under which you have an interest, Indianapolis or Minnesota. You're not going back to New York. You were in Minnesota. You're now with Indianapolis. You are experiencing and coming back from significant injury. And so as a result of that, you probably want to be surrounded by staff with which you're familiar. You would want to have a medical staff that you are familiar with. And in addition to that, you probably want to go to a system that you know automatically, because your priority in next year is not just getting out and playing and being able to play right away, but more importantly, you want to be able to focus on your health without having to focus on learning an entirely new playbook. So Daniel Jones, all of a sudden now, is a viable option for the Colts moving forward if they feel that he can continue to play at the same level. But they're going to be able to get him for probably 2 years on that. And the first one I realize is a feel it out and what kind of player is he time period. But he is going to be able to do so now, where Alec Pierce, for example, guess what? That's a lot more affordable now, or not a lot more viable on what you can give him, because what you thought was going to be the biggest expense you were going to have to go out and get during the Christmas season now just dipped drastically in its price tag. And that is the sun that can peek through on this period of murkiness when it comes to the Colts. I think the Colts look at it now and say to themselves, Daniel Jones is going to be back here next year, and we're going to go ahead and pay for a year, possibly an entire year of rehabilitation, or at the very least, a year where we are feeling out where he is. But that's what they did this year. He was brought in this year under a what do we have here? We're spending the year kicking the tires, period. And so now that's exactly where they are again next year, more from a health standpoint versus a just how bad was his previous situation standpoint. And so they now are in a position where they can get answers for another year or two at the quarterback position, and do so at probably a massive fraction of the price. They're still able to go in and get their quarterback at TJ Maxx, and they don't have to pay Nordstrom money. And I love both stores, by the way. Love both stores. Brian Neubert going to join us coming up about 20 minutes from now. We will get into what happened last night at Mackey Arena, including, is there something, speaking of injuries, I hate saying that because there's been something in the water in Indiana. Looks like Purdue might have dodged one a little bit on that, but we will examine further the college basketball preseason player of the year and health status next.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, piles of wrapping paper, Uncle Harold's asleep in the recliner. It's only $5.45. But then, Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. Starting at just $1, they're the perfect gift for making the most of the one time of year all 30 cousins are gathered together in one living room. Unwrap instant fun with holiday scratch-offs. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Must be 18 or older to play. Gift responsibly.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who never lies. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through December 21st, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
This is Window Nation, your source for affordable replacement windows at the highest quality. Your old windows, they're not keeping in the heat in the winter. They keep letting the heat in during the summer. And they're certainly keeping your energy bill way higher than it needs to be. You need the pros at Window Nation with installation precision and experience that are second to none. They'll also be in and out of your house faster than any other service. Their custom-made windows are guaranteed to be a perfect fit in your home. And they back it up with the best warranty in the industry. It's why they've maintained an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So stay cozy in winter, chill in the summer, and save money year-round. Get a great deal on replacement windows from Window Nation today. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90Nation for your free estimate. And for a limited time, get 50% off all window styles, plus pay no interest for 5 years. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90Nation.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Baseball great Lou Gehrig was known as the Iron Horse for playing 2,130 consecutive games. But it was his reaction to his greatest challenge, the fatal diagnosis of ALS, that made Gehrig a household name and a beacon of strength for all those facing the disease. The Live Like Lou Foundation honors Lou's legacy and inspires hope for a world where ALS is no longer fatal. Donate or volunteer today at livelikeLou.org.
Hey, JMV, later on this afternoon at 3, the Mousetrap. We're on Keystone, Large City Bourbon Locks, Luna, Zool, Tequila Shots for Week 15. Our picks, me, Brent Holmerson, and of course you. Samples and one hell of a time today at 3 at the Mousetrap.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Last night, Purdue, big win over Minnesota. When I say big, I mean resounding win. We'll get into that. Brian Neubert going to join us coming up top of the hour, including we will find out if there's more. I'll let you know what happened last night, what I'm talking about with Braden Smith. But before we do that, let's go to the very first time, Eddie. This is literally like, did you ever go to the Rivy dive tank?
The what?
Up on the north side, the Riviera Club, they had, it's no longer there, unfortunately, but they had the dive tank, which is where you would, the diving board, high dive, low dive, and the water was like ice cold. It was awesome in the depths of summer, but you would stand there and just, you know what I'm talking about, when you know that the water's cold and you're just standing, you're looking, you know you got to jump eventually, right? But you're terrified of, just the cold water itself. Once it gets about mid-waist, you're good to go. But you know what I'm saying. Now, that's kind of what we're doing here because, admittedly, and I know that the listeners, and I appreciate everybody listening to the show, to them, they're like, yeah, man, you're still the same dial on my radio station. The fact that we're in a new studio with a new system and all of it, we're moving on up. We're like the Jeffersons. But nobody cares about that except for that we're trying out and working out the bugs on some new things, including the phone system, correct?
I think the phones work.
Okay. We're going to try it with Jeff, who, at least in terms of Query and Company, is the first to call in, and I think it's because he disagrees with me. Jeff, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, man. I appreciate you calling in. Welcome. You are the first. You're our cold water, Jeff. I hope that didn't bother you.
I better make it good then, right?
That's right. What's on your
I
mind?
gotta set the bar high. Hey, as far as Anthony Richardson, I mean, that experiment was done when they drafted him. In the NFL, quarterbacks are the name of the position. You've got to have the best, and you got to have accuracy. He had none. I don't care about the freak athlete. Brady wasn't a freak athlete, so that was just a mess. Here's the thing about your sunshine. It's all positive. We're kind of back to where we were before Anthony Richardson. We don't have a quarterback. We're not going to be able to get anybody to draft because didn't we give that draft pick away this year?
2 of them. The next 2 years.
2 of them. Next 2 years. And why anybody thought to give 2 draft picks for anybody other than an edge rusher is beyond me. You don't need – you can find DBs. Hell, they got 2 people off of free agency this year. So we're back to square one. The only great thing about this is because I can't stand the Colts organization. Love professional football. Love the Colts. But it happened before all the renewable of the tickets happened. So all these people could just go, you know what, if you guys think this is funny now, not talking you, Jake, talking the Colts, everybody's thinking this is the greatest thing bringing Rivers in. It's the most embarrassing, disgusting thing that's ever happened in professional football in the Colts organization. I can't believe that this is a professional organization. It's kind of like I thought Jimmy Irsay was a little cuckoo, and I think his daughter probably follows in his footsteps. Go sell the team to Peyton Manning, and let's start turning this thing around.
Well, okay, a couple of things here, Jeff. And stay with me here, okay, because I want to have the dialogue here as opposed to, you know what I mean? I totally get what you're saying. Let's begin with this point. In terms of the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones situation and me saying that's where the sun is, what I'm saying is if you look at the list of free agents that are out there and you look at the fact that they don't have a first-round pick in the next 2 years, clearly they were committed to Daniel Jones. Clearly Daniel Jones, just like you said, and I don't think you're wrong in the fact that, you know, when you say that the Richardson experiment was over before it began. For most of us, you are correct, right? But obviously they saw something there that they wanted to tap into, okay? But what I'm getting at is once they had turned that page and once Daniel Jones clearly was the guy that they had made up their mind on, it was going to cost them a significant amount of money to get him, and that price tag now drops drastically. Now, granted, it's because he's not healthy. I totally get that, right? But what I'm getting at, what I'm saying is, if that was the route you were going to go, now you at least have the ability to spend money elsewhere for the next 2 years. Now, I totally agree on the part about the corner and the edge rush. Now, in terms of the most ludicrous thing at the quarterback position that this franchise has seen, they did bring in Ricky Turner off of a cement truck to run the wishbone for 4 games.
But that was during the strike years, correct?
No.
It was not. Okay. I must have got my years confused. So.
That was when Ron Meyer decided he wanted to go. During the strike years, that was 87. During the strike year, what happened there was they had Gary Hogeboom under contract, and Gary Hogeboom was the one guy that didn't go on strike. So he went out and was throwing for like 500 yards in Buffalo against guys that had been playing for Akron a year ago or whatever. But no, I mean, to the point, Ron Meyer wanted to do the wishbone with Eric Dickerson, and so they went out and they got Ricky Turner, and they played like 3 games with them. But point taken, listen, what I'm getting at is I don't disagree with you in the fundamental of it, Jeff. What I'm saying is when you realistically look at where they were pre-injury with Daniel Jones, the reality was that Daniel Jones was going to be their guy for at the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years or whatever they were going to sign him to. He is now going to be their guy probably for 2 years because they don't have other options, and therefore at least the price tag now drops significantly, and you assume that when he comes back a form of what he was, and that's a big if. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the problem I've got, the assuming, because we're notorious for finding guys. Richardson's a prime example. Hurt his college career. We went ahead and drafted him. I think, if I remember right, was it Hooker that we had from Ohio State?
Yeah, Malik Hooker.
He was hurt all the time. And, I mean, even Bob Sanders back in his day was hurt all the time. Now, granted, when he came back, he changed the defense. My biggest issue, you've got to have answers before the questions at the quarterback position. So
I get it. But Jeff, my point, and I appreciate you calling in, and well done on being our guinea pig there. The point being this: it is the most difficult position in sport to master. It is the most difficult and important position in sport to nail down and make sure that you have covered and secured. And the reality is, when you have one then that gives you some glimpse, some hope, some indication that that is your answer, you have to commit to it. And for them to commit to it now, and I totally get it. It's a less than ideal scenario, Jeff. I totally get it. What I'm saying is, in a situation that is stormy, if you are trying to be an optimist, and I'm being a little flippant, if you're trying to be an optimist, then you can find one glimmer of light of sun in saying, you know what, at least they don't get into a bidding war now with a bunch of other people for a price tag on a guy that you want to have beyond this year. Last night, Purdue, Mackey Arena, little bit of an injury at the beginning of the game, but then 32 minutes after, where do things stand now with Braden Smith? Brian Neubert joins us next.
This is the Fan Morning Show.
Man, if it weren't for bad luck right now, the Colts wouldn't have any luck at all. Devastating injury for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I said to James last week, I was like, man, do you really believe in Jacksonville being a curse? It's a new year. It's a new team. Every year I'm watching that game unfold. And honestly, when Daniel Jones threw the interception on the first play of the game, I was like, oh my gosh, James Boyd is right.
It's the Fan Morning Show. Weekday mornings on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Everything from tequila cocktails and bourbon to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out the adventurous drink menu. And don't forget about the 29-degree drafts.
When I decided to do something about my thinning hair, I knew I had to pick the right team, and that was We Grow Hair Indy. If you want the best results, you go where the pros go. That is We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. Located northwest side, that would be the Pyramids, building number 2, and a free evaluation awaits. You contact them today. It's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. Again, that's WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995.
Judy loves her fall in Indy, but she doesn't like the paint, so she called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Feeling stuck on your own 10-yard line in the career game? Maybe it's time to just go for IT. My Computer Career has the game plan to score a rewarding new IT career in months. Whether you're a rookie, a breakout career changer, or a military veteran ready to serve. Why spend years chasing a college degree when you can fast-track your future in IT starting now? Take your mark, get set, go for IT. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Guys, thanks for helping me carry my Christmas tree.
Zoe, this thing weighs a ton.
Drewski, lift with your legs, man.
Santa! Did you get my letter?
He's talking to you, Bridges.
I'm not that.
Of course he did. Right, Santa?
You know, my elf Drewski here, he handles the nice list.
An elf? I'm 6'3". What everyone wants is iPhone 17. And at T-Mobile, you can get it on them. That center stage front camera is amazing for group selfies. Right, Mrs. Claus?
I'm Mrs. Claus's much younger sister. And at T-Mobile, there's no trade-in needed when you switch, so you can keep your old phone.
Or give it as a gift.
And the best part, you can make the switch to T-Mobile from your phone in just 15 minutes.
Guys, my side of the tree is slipping.
Timber!
The holidays are better at T-Mobile. Switch in just 15 minutes and get iPhone 17 on us with no trade-in needed.
With 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Finance agreement 256 gigs, $830. Eligible port in and new line. $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Check out in 15 minutes or less per line. Visit T-Mobile.com.
This is Jim with Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. If you need help in Boone County or Hamilton County, give us a call.
Just go to jimsheating-air.com. Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning is your trusted local independent American Standard air dealer.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
The Colts head to Seattle to face the Seahawks. Coverage Sunday at 1:30 on 97.1 Hank FM.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
That's right. Just walking around with my little pocket of sunshine. It's going to be, I'm going to Milwaukee this weekend. It's supposed to be 15 below. It's going to be 2 below here on Sun. I'm walking around with my little bit of sunshine, right? Let me give you one little bit of sunshine from yesterday. Brian Neubert going to join us here in just a minute, but I wanted to pass this along. It has nothing to do with sports, but it kind of does. Because I feel like, and I get it, sometimes our job, I talked about it, theme of the day, forecast. Sometimes we're on, sometimes we're off. Phillip Rivers, at the very least, this whole thing's going to be entertaining. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't. But we try to prognosticate the best we can. That's all you can do. And in sports sometime, when you're talking about sports, there's so much negativity, just in general, right? Last night, as I mentioned, and I know people mock me for this, and that's fine. But for whatever reason, during the holiday season, I have always been one that at least on a handful of occasions over the month of December, I go by myself and I walk around the shopping areas that I went to as a kid. Because you get the music playing overhead and you hear the ring of the Salvation Army bell and you see Santa Claus over there, and it reminds me of when those things were a big thing. And Christmas shopping was not an online thing, and it was a big thing. And I get it. I mean, I get that those are probably, I'm holding on to yesteryear there. But nonetheless, there's a nostalgia and a simplicity about it that I appreciate and I enjoy. So last night, I had 30 minutes to kill or whatever, and I thought I'm just going to go walk. Basically, I'm at the age now, I put on my Rockports and I'm a mall walker. Not literally, but kind of. So I go to Castleton Square Mall, and I'm walking around, and I'm walking past the area where I see the risers where I sang Christmas carols as a middle school kid and whatever else, and I'm listening to Mariah Carey or whatever's playing overhead, and the decorations, and I'm just like, you know what? It feels Christmassy, and I like that. And there's a popcorn place there. I think it's called Market Square Popcorn. And they got a little kiosk, and they have a really good popcorn, and I walk up to get a popcorn. And this young guy says to me, like, hey, happy holidays. Like, what can I get for you? And I said, I'll just take the small sweet heat, please. And he says, okay, no problem. And then he says, are you buying some good Christmas gifts for your family? And I said, well, no, I'm actually just kind of walking around, but whatever else. And I said, how about yourself? And then he asked how my shopping's going. And I said, well, what about yourself? And he said, oh, I'm just working tonight. This is my first ever job. And I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm a junior in high school, Lawrence North High School. And his name's Alex. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, so that's great. You got an after-school job. And you just don't see that anymore. You don't see high school kids getting after-school jobs. And I get it. There are fewer of them to have. I get it. But this kid, I said, so what do you want to do? You're a junior. What are you going to do after high school? And he said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker because I want to make an impact and help people and get them on the right path, and I want to motivate people. And he's the youngest of 7. He's working, and he even said to me, he said, this job, though, it's not about the money. It's about making myself get out in front of people and talk to people. And that is such a building block foundation of where the best job, the best first job anybody could ever have. I worked at O'Malley's Food Market, and they taught me how to deal with customers, how to talk to people, how to conflict resolve when people were unhappy with an item that was out or whatever it might be. There were so many valuable things I learned from that job at O'Malley's. And I could see in the personality, the maturity, how courteous and polite this young kid was, that he's going to go light years beyond. But I thought it was awesome that the popcorn place is hiring a high school kid to work on an after-school shift, and I thought it was awesome that he was there working, and he was so proud to have that first job. I could see it. But yet he also knew that that first job was a stepping stone for him and not where he wanted to be forever, because he already has vision elsewhere. So if you happen to be in Castleton Square and you happen to be walking through and you go past the Market Square Popcorn Company and you see a kid working named Alex, you go up and give him a fist bump and say, you know what? You are, in fact, motivation. Because yes, sir, no, sir, he was as polite, as courteous as could be. And I just think situations like that, when you get that little snowflake of positivity that comes, you need to actually spread it along, because no two snowflakes are alike, but it doesn't mean that positivity is not alike across the board. And when we see it, we should reward it and we should acknowledge it. And so if you are in the area, be sure to say hi, or simply let the folks at the popcorn place know that you appreciate them giving that young man his opportunity for his first building block. I thought it was cool. Now, during that trip, I then looked, I said, oh, that's right, Purdue is on tonight. So I went to my dad's, watched Purdue, Minnesota, got there just in time to see beginning of the game early, second possession, I think. Braden Smith kind of took that awkward tumble and just landed awkwardly, kind of on, like breaking his fall on his wrist. Eddie, you've done this on the ice, right?
On the ice? I've never been on the ice.
I mean, like on an icy sidewalk. You've lost your footing. You've reached out to grab yourself,
for
right?
For sure, yes.
And you get that, like that, ooh, in your wrist, right?
Yes.
Afterwards, Matt Painter was asked about it because Braden Smith was getting looked at for what I think early was diagnosed as a sprained hand or a sprained wrist. But, of course, when you're talking about the guy that is the preseason college basketball player of the year and the best point guard in college basketball, I believe personally the best player in college basketball, it is of note. Brian Neubert now joining us on the Java House Peel and Pour Guest Line. Did you see my shirt today, Eddie? Did you see my shirt?
I did.
I've got on the Java House shirt, baby. Java House yesterday sent me, they sent you some pods. I'll get them to you, Eddie. And they sent me a shirt as well. Java House Peel and Pour, of course, Jake25, the discount code for 25% off. They have multiple locations in Lafayette. That's where we find Brian Neubert now from Golden Black to talk about last night. Brian, how are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well, Jake. It's kind of unfair that you put me on the phone and then talk about your shirt. I'd probably have a take on it if I could see it.
Let me tell you, svelte and sexy. How's that, Brian? Does that sound good? Does that sound good?
Well, that's kind of a given.
Thank you, Brian. Brian. I don't know if you know this or not. This Java House shirt they gave me, and Java House is such a clean-looking brand anyway. But it's an all-black T-shirt, and black is a slimming feature. It's a slimming color, so it looks good. Just so you know.
Not for all of us.
All right, let's get to Golden Black, obviously, so you got half of it there. Let's get to the first thing that I just talked about in Braden Smith. Looked like this might have been one where you got scared at first, and then you find out that it was not a significant injury. But then again, sometimes a day later, things can creep up, and you can find out that there is still pain there. Where do we stand now, or what do we know?
I don't have any update today yet. All Matt Painter could say after the game yesterday was came back and played, which is true, and he played very well. So that would seem to rule out anything really significant, I would think. Going back to our photos after the game last night, I thought I saw some tape on a finger. So I wonder if he didn't just jam a finger or something like that. They said it was a sprain in his hand, but I can't really confirm that. I can't really confirm anything. So I don't know. Obviously, Purdue will be watching that closely because he's obviously critically important to them.
Okay, let's get to Brian. You know, I thought yesterday, and let's go back to Iowa State, actually, because we haven't had a chance to talk since then. And I think Iowa State's really good, right? But that was one of those games that just from the beginning you could tell it just wasn't there that day. Now, I don't think for Purdue, unless that becomes a habit, that it's a real concern because they've got so many good wins and they have so many opportunities for good wins over the course of the Big Ten season. But did Iowa State, I'll use air quotes here, expose anything about Purdue? What did Iowa State do that made Purdue vulnerable?
Well, I think the shots Purdue needed to make against Iowa State to start the game, they just didn't, which is disconcerting because you're playing at home. You're a great three-point shooting team. You had to make threes to take some of the heat off of Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman in their high pick and roll stuff, and they just didn't. Now, shooting can be obviously volatile, but Matt Painter would be the first to tell you, and Purdue's done this before at times this season, is when they're not making three-pointers, is go find other ways to win, and that's kind of what wasn't there in the second half, and just kind of a shockingly one-sided deal after halftime. You just don't expect to see that to happen to Purdue ever. You expect the exact opposite. You expect to see what Purdue did to Minnesota in the second half last night. Two very different games, obviously, but it was just a very jarring kind of feeling. You expect Purdue to respond competitively in a much different way than they did against Iowa State in the second half after simply not making threes. Now, Iowa State's a great team, so that's a big part of it. Part of the three-point shooting might have been them playing defense so well that perhaps there was a panic going through the whole offense, and perhaps Purdue didn't have the poise it needed. I'm not a psychoanalyst. I couldn't tell you what everybody was thinking in the moment, but had Purdue just made a couple more threes early, which they shoot a very high percentage on, perhaps Iowa State has to change things up a little bit. Perhaps the game unfolds a little bit differently. We'll never know, but the oversimplified answer is shooting and then poise, and then not letting the shooting problems affect your defensive effort, things like that. That was the broader point I was trying to make. I just never got to.
Brian, what did you think Matt Painter's response was? In other words, sometimes coaches lose a game and you later find out that they're like, yeah, I wasn't that concerned about it because, we were working on this or we wanted to do that, or, what was Matt Painter's overall, I guess, reaction from that Iowa State game, and what tweak, if any, do you think he did going into Minnesota?
Well, I'm not sure there was a tweak. I'd imagine his message was kind of the point I was just trying to make, and I talked myself in circles before I actually made it.
I don't think it – Brian, just so you know, I do that every day, right? That's what we do. We talk in circles.
Well, you're on the radio. You get paid to do that.
Okay. So you write in circles, too, is what you're getting at. Anyway, so as you were, yes.
So Painter's – one of his common messages is when you're not making shots, don't let that affect your effort defensively. Don't let that affect your attention span defensively. And I think Purdue just crumbled defensively in the second half. And he generally makes a correlation from one to the other. So Purdue not making shots may or may not have affected their attention to detail defensively. And that's where the game really went sideways on Purdue, was they just couldn't stop Iowa State in the second half. Iowa State was making horse shots. And Purdue just didn't respond. And if the offensive struggles led to the defensive struggles, then that would be the heart of Painter's message. That was probably communicated in no uncertain terms in the locker room after that game.
When you look at – Brian Neubert is my guest, Java House Peel and Pour guest line, javahouse.com, by the way, the website. When you look, Brian, at what Purdue has done to this point, I mean, obviously the win over Alabama, extremely impressive. I thought their performance against Texas Tech was as good as I've seen in quite some time. Then that Iowa State game, disappointing, but you bounce back with Minnesota. Is there an aspect of this team that to this point you still feel uncertain about, or do you have a really good idea as to who and what they are?
I think you have a pretty good idea. I mean, they've been pretty consistent. They've proven themselves in a lot of cases prior to this season. I think the rebounding has been a big revelation for Purdue. The rim protection has been a revelation for Purdue. Their problems from last year were fixed by size. It's just college basketball is a funny game. Three-point shooting is a funny, fickle sort of element of basketball. And, I think the Iowa State game had a lot to do with that. But you're also dealing with the most inconsistent, turbulent commodity on earth, the teenage male. And so sometimes things are going to sometimes there's going to be inconsistency. And I think that, Purdue has experience enough where you'd expect them to be insulated from that sort of turbulence. But at the same time, is anybody ever really I'm sure Texas Tech said the same thing before they went into that Purdue game that, hey, we have a lot of guys who have played a lot of basketball and been through a lot of stuff, and that kind of thing can't happen to us, right? And then they got boat raced. So it's a funny game. That's what's so interesting about college basketball. You literally never know what's going to happen when you go to the game. And no one ever could have foreseen Iowa State coming, and Purdue flipped it against Minnesota. The exact same thing to Minnesota that Iowa State did to Purdue in the second half.
Realistically, Brian, the turbulence and the non-predictability and the all over the place of teenagers is not gender specific, right? Isn't that like just kind of a generality of the age range? I mean, I don't know, but I was a train wreck. But to your point, as a guy, I was a train wreck. At what age did you quit being a train wreck? For me, it was like 29.
Was that supposed to have happened by now? I'm still waiting. Probably ask my wife that question.
I noticed the other day, to your point, the other day I discovered that they now have a pizza that's made with Cheez-Its as the crust, and I thought, okay, I'm in, right? And that's probably catered to 17-year-olds, right?
Yes, they wouldn't make that if the world was all women.
That is indeed correct. Hey, before we let you go, Brian Neubert's my guest, Gold and Black. I do want to touch on football, the football side of things, and I realize that we are entrenched in basketball season, and I get it. But just kind of because there's been so much going on, and also because of the season Purdue had, some of the transfer portal, some of that inconsistency has kind of flown off radar for Purdue. Where do they stand just in terms of what they will have for next year, and either A, who they're able to go out and get, or B, any significant pieces they've lost?
I'm not as engaged in the day-to-day on football as I am the basketball, but the one guy who's gone in the portal who strikes me as a guy they really would have liked to have kept, and it's conceivable, I guess, that they can still keep him, is a guy named Chops Harkless. He's a big 330-pound nose tackle defensively who I thought had a pretty good season for them, was going to be a pretty good player. Whether they can get him back or not, I have no idea. Other than that, they've lost a couple of guys, I think, who maybe could have helped them last season. But the other side of the coin here is that you didn't win a Big Ten game again for the second year in a row. So were there any real difference makers that you really, really had to keep? Sure, there are some young guys that you would like to keep in your program to develop year after year, but it's not like there was anybody who you're going to lose and it's going to cost you wins next year. You have to get a bunch of good players in the portal this year, and you have to keep them in your program year after year here and actually develop them, and things like that. And Purdue's kind of in that trap that I think everybody gets into nowadays when you change coaches, is that when you take the job, you lose the roster, you replace the roster with a ton of short-term guys, and then those short-term guys are gone before you know it, and then you got to replace them with more short-term guys, and you're in this never-ending cycle. That's kind of where Indiana basketball is that you're going to be replacing these one-year transfers every year. What you have to do is you got to get your high school recruiting to the point where you're getting good enough players, but then you're keeping them. They're getting better. They're understanding what your program's all about. They're understanding your schemes, things like that. And then you can actually plug guys in and get old instead of just kind of putting a new coat of paint on it every year.
You know what, Brian?
Purdue's got money, but they just have to spend it right.
You raise an interesting point. And let me introduce this to you. I brought it up yesterday a little bit. Brian Neubert, my guest, Java House Peel and Port Guest Line. He's with Gold and Black. I mentioned this yesterday with college basketball, and Purdue is the outlier here of what I'm about to say, okay? Take Indiana. I think Indiana's got a pretty good roster, especially considering what Darren DeVries, he gets the job kind of late. He's got to put together a team. They obviously had a mass exodus, and they've done a pretty good job of getting guys to play. You would think that those guys have played with each other longer than 8 months or whatever it's been. But as college football, Brian, and again, Purdue's the outlier of what I'm about to say. So it might be hard for you because you are seeing the anomaly here. But when you look at the Kansases, the Kentuckys, the North Carolinas, the Indianas, the blue blood, historic, rabid programs, as most schools have become hyper-focused on the money and the fanaticism of the football side of things, there are those that still basketball is the bigger sell. And yet, yes. I'm curious, do you think nationally speaking, because I do think this, but I want to know if you disagree with me, nationally speaking, I think college basketball is in a much more tenuous situation in terms of between the transfer portal, the one and dones, and also the transfer portal at the high school level now of kids going away to academies and getting away from their home area and people not seeing them as seniors in high school and et cetera. And the non-familiarity with roster is starting to hurt the overall interest in college basketball. Am I wrong?
I think that is probably true, and it'll probably happen more over time at certain places. I think there are places like the ones you mentioned where, the program has always been bigger than the individuals, and at Kansas and, at Indiana, the faces have always kind of come and gone, but it's been the coaches and the institutions that have always been part of the culture and things like that. I think, there are some rare places like Purdue where they're basketball crazy. They get freshmen in. They keep those guys year to year. People get attached to the freshmen, watch them grow, really connect with the team over a long period of time. And that's the part of it where, Purdue's going to keep trying to do it that way. We'll see over a very long period of time here how viable that ends up being. Marquette's trying to do the same thing right now, and they're a disaster. So, yeah, I mean, I think when all of the transfer reform took hold, I think that was a lot of people's big concern, was that culturally fans were going to feel less connected to their teams. There might be a measure of resentment, might not be the right word, but the fact that they're getting paid might change things in terms of how their fans perceive them, even though if fans knew the whole deal about college basketball for the history of time, they would not like what they saw if players making money offends them.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think that
some had a head start, right?
There are definitely some existential crises, here in college basketball in terms of rabid fan bases' connections to their teams that are at play. Whether or not that's really taking hold right now, and I think the TV money and the attendance numbers would probably tell you different. But I think that over time, it is very possible, that there could be some erosion between the communities and the college programs they've always invested so much in.
Up next for the Boilers, Marquette. That is going to be on Saturday, 2 o'clock tip, and then it is a week off before Auburn is on the schedule. Both those games, by the way, on Peacock. Brian Neubert will have it all covered. Brian, it is always a pleasure, man. And just remember, the more of the Cheez-It pizza you eat, so long as you wear a black T-shirt, nobody notices, right?
Gotcha. Thanks, Jake.
I appreciate it. Brian Neubert joining us on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Eddie, do you find it, let me ask you this, because I think I catch, again, to use a Ted Lasso term here, I've caught a little guff over this. People think it's weird, and I get it. I get it. It's an eccentricity about me. It's an idiosyncrasy about me. But, and somebody on social media was like, what in the world? Like and I'm setting myself up for mockery. Does it make me weird that during the holidays, be it Keystone, now obviously Circle Center is not the case anymore, Hamilton Town Center, out in Plainfield, whatever it might be, I enjoy walking around for like 45 minutes. I enjoy Christmas shopping by going into a store, dealing with an employee, picking out an item, looking for what it is that is on my family's Christmas list or whatever, hearing the music overhead, seeing people that are scurrying in, and it's not like it used to be. I get it, but I love it. It puts me in the Christmas mood, and it sends me back to the time when, as a kid, Christmas was a magical period for me, and it still allows me to feel a little of that. And does that make me? Am I literally 95 years old in saying that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What you do your? How many people do you buy for when you Christmas shop? You have.
So I will buy for my brother and my sister, my mom, my dad.
I think I asked you. That's right. So
and Olivia.
Okay,
my significant other.
And
yeah.
you do what % of that by just like 2 clicks of a button and then waiting at the mailbox?
Most of it. Yeah, most of it. But I don't wait by the mailbox, because I don't want her to see, because she's at home during the day. I don't want her to see what I'm getting her, so I have it shipped to my parents' house.
Okay. And then your parents' stuff you have shipped to your house. Okay, that works out well. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's a nice trading system.
Okay, but then your parents get to see what you get her.
Well, yeah.
What if it's something tawdry?
I don't.
What if it's something of the lesser scruples, if you will? Is that a bother?
Well, see, I don't buy that kind of stuff for her, Jake. So
okay. Oh, really? Okay. Well,
I let her handle all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. She just goes out and does her own shopping, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we know what Eddie's getting for Christmas. Huh? How about that? I told you about the time. Now, I'm not saying any names. But one of my very best friends in the world, when we were in our late 20s, back when everyone before online stuff. So we go out and we're Christmas shopping together, and we go into Victoria's Secret. And my buddy was dating 2 different girls. No, I mean, neither one was, he was dating. Like, you're dating people, right? I mean, we were like, I don't know, he was probably 30 at the time. So we go into Victoria's Secret where I'm buying like a strawberry cream, body lotion for the girl I'm dating or whatever. And he's buying 2 different, risque outfits from Victoria's Secret. And he gets up to the register, and literally we are the only 2 males in the entire establishment. Okay. And it's bonkers. It's packed. It's all these women in there. It's packed. And so he gets up to the register, and the woman says, and I quote, "Would you like a gift box for these?" And he says, "I need 2 of them because they're going to 2 different people." And he said it just as there was a a store-wide lull in conversation, and literally we narrowly got out with our lives. It was Katie bar the door, absolute mayhem, fury of, and I was guilt by association. I was just there. I'm just standing there. I'm like, I didn't do anything. There is some news when it comes to the Pacers and their roster. And I think there's news when it comes to the Colts and their roster. I'll explain both of them next. But before I do so, I want to talk to you about real quick Chicago's Pizza. Chicago's Pizza with 18 Central Indiana locations. They have 25 statewide. You've still got, if you are listening right now and you look up and you see the sign for Chicago's Pizza, you still got time to get in for their lunch buffet, which is fabulous, 11 until 1:30 every single day. I'm talking about fresh hot pizza, deep dish or traditional, salad bar, all the fixings, all the dressings, and a soft drink for just $13. That includes breadsticks and the dessert pizza, just $13 out the door. You cannot beat it. But you also can't beat this proposition. I was just talking earlier about businesses and the Christmas spirit. What about businesses that are helping out those that are less fortunate throughout Christmas? Chicago's Pizza is doing exactly that between now and Christmas with the COP programs and different donations with their gift card programs at Chicago's Pizza and their 18 Central Indiana locations. Chicago's Pizza has the family meal deal, 2 pizzas, medium 1-topping pizzas, just $25. That does include breadsticks. And I love Chicago's Pizza because it's family owned and it's right here in Central Indiana where it's based. Chicago's Pizza, 18 Central Indiana locations, 25 statewide. Find one near you at chicagospizza.com.
I was seriously injured. It was definitely somebody's fault, and I didn't actually know who, so I needed to call someone. I was really happy to have a law firm like Hensley that had ethics. I made the best call.
It happens. Hire Hensley.
This is Window Nation, your source for affordable replacement windows at the highest quality. Maybe you've been feeling drafts through your old windows, or they stick when you try to open them, or they outright leak in bad weather. You need the experienced pros at Window Nation. They've installed over 3 million windows and have high-quality options to fit any budget. You could pay a lot less than the other big guys and still get the premium windows you're dreaming of. Their custom-made windows are guaranteed to be a perfect fit in your home, and they back it up with the best warranty in the industry. So shut out the drafts. Make opening and closing a breeze. And lock out the leaks for good. Get a great deal on replacement windows from Window Nation today. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90Nation for your free estimate. And for a limited time, get 50% off all window styles, plus pay no interest for 5 years. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90Nation.
Neighbors you know are talking about Galaxy concrete coatings and their transformation, like Rosemary.
I heard about Galaxy through social media as well as on the radio. I wanted to have Galaxy come out and redo my back patio. It runs the full length of the back of the house.
Galaxy concrete coatings is not epoxy, it's 4 times stronger.
Galaxy was great. They were very thorough. They were very clean, very efficient. They cleaned up after themselves. I was very impressed with the crew.
Commercial or residential, Galaxy transforms pools, patios, garage floors, driveways, and more. And also, it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The reason I chose Galaxy is because of the durability. We've got pets, and so sometimes they do have accidents. It's very easy to just hose off. My neighbors have come over, and every single one of them have said it's beautiful.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We are out of this world.
If you or someone you know needs help putting food on the table, that help is closer than you think. The Fan cares. We've partnered with local food banks and organizations to provide resources for those who need them. Just go to 1075thefan.com and look for the banner that says Find Free Food near you. You'll find a link to Community Compass with an up-to-date and interactive map that shows locations, days, and times for you to collect food at no cost, as well as other resources to help you through this challenging time. Find community help now at 1075thefan.com. JMV here for my friends at Premier Weight Loss. You know what's funny? When I was in my teens, body exploration meant something completely different than it does now that I'm 56 years of age. I can say now that it means, where am I on my weight loss journey? Down nearly 80 pounds. How about my body fat percentage? Down from 35% to 13%. Now it's time to add muscle mass, or lean mass, if you will, with the tone stimulation machine that they have at Premier Weight Loss. You can do the same. Weight loss journey and then tone up with Thomas and Samantha and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. It will work for you. That's PWLND.com. Mention my name. For the first 10 days in the month of December, you could win 2 lower-level tickets to see the Niners and the Colts. If you want to lose the weight, if you want to feel better, it's PWLND.com. You can do it. Tell them JMV sent you. PWLND.com today.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers, and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Consider yourself a bourbon connoisseur? Twin Peaks is proud to offer an exclusive and extensive collection of some incredibly rare bourbons, whiskeys, and tequilas, plus barrel selects that are handpicked and bottled just for you. Supply is limited. Check with your favorite location to see what they're pouring.
Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you can find so many holiday essentials all for under $25. Don't wait. Find a location at Macy'sBackstage.com.
The Ride with JMV.
There's a flag on the play, and Daniel Jones is down. Daniel Jones can't even make it over to the sideline.
We've been screwed for so long. I mean, it's almost like it's just another layer of screwing. The Colts at some point are going to win an AVN Lifetime Achievement Award because it's been such a huge screw job. It's incredible.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness today.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
From misery to happiness.
If you are just joining us on the program today,
where have you been?
Thank you. It might be that you're at the old building, right? now that we're in a new building. And again, I mentioned off the top of the show, I totally understand and respect that to the listener, it's like we're still on 93.5 and 107.5. Our friends at WIBC are still at 93.1. B105, everything's the same. But we are now within a new location just north of the Monument Circle location where we were previously. And it's been fun to kind of work through some things because whenever you move into, and this studio is brand new. I mean, brand new. It smells like a new car in here. It's wonderful. That's the best part about it. It still smells, the carpet smells new. Everything's fresh, right? And I mentioned when we began the show today in this day number 1 in the new studio that whenever you have things that are new, whenever you have change, it becomes an adjustment. It can be a challenge. And that was the case. We knew going into the year for the Pacers that that's what they were and where they were in terms of this season. We did not anticipate, yes, we knew there was going to be change for the Colts at the quarterbacking position, okay? That we knew. But what we didn't know is that once they found that stability, we didn't know that they were going to get a 7-1 start. And then we didn't know that Daniel Jones would have the injuries. And that now, all of a sudden, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers would be in. We didn't know those things. And for the Colts, it's not about what's new. It's about what's old. It's about what's really old. But for the Pacers, it is a little bit about what's new, and that's because the Pacers now have made an announcement today in terms of their roster. This is not the first guy this has happened to this year, and if precedent, the word I always use, is any indication, it doesn't mean that it is a word of finality. But what we know is that they have added a player on the roster that had like kind of a tryout. And Eddie, you tell me, because we talked about this yesterday and I always get confused. You can sign a player to a 10-day contract, right?
Yes.
And you then you can sign them to a maximum of 3 10-day contracts, I believe is the case, right? Tony East will be able to answer a lot of this for us just about 20 minutes from now. But I believe it is that you can have a guy on 3 10-day contracts, and then after that, you got to figure out what's going on.
Correct.
Like you can only go on so many dates before it's like, look, are we seeing other people or not?
Yeah, right.
You're not going to be asking for 2 gift receipts at Victoria's Secret.
So where does it stand between you and Shannon, Jake, then?
Well, at this point where it stands with me and Shannon is that we get 2 questions from everyone. Why are you not married? And then when are you getting married? And then in the same breath, people go, but you've been together 20 years and it seems to be working for you, and I'm kind of envious of the way it's worked out. That's kind of where it stands. But no question, from both of our standpoints, yes, indeed, each other's person. And the Pacers have decided, the difference being in the NBA, when you decide that somebody is your person, then you can get and say, you know what? The 10-day contract gave us the ability to say we're just dating people, but they have decided today with Garrison Matthews that they want to make this a commitment, right?
They were just friends with benefits, Jake. That's what they were.
Oh, boy. Okay, that's right. They were sending tawdry gifts to other addresses. Is that right? That's what they were doing? Garrison Matthews has been signed by the Pacers on a deal that will theoretically keep him for the year. And where it goes beyond that, I don't know. But in order to make room for him, they had to make a roster move. And this is one of the things that I was talking about at the beginning of the year when their roster was in flux. And, what do I call them? Empty calorie guys. Empty calorie guys that you're like, you know what? That guy looks like he's a really good player. He's put in good minutes for them. He's done some good things for them. And then you realize as time goes along that they were guys that were basically just logging minutes for you, and you weren't necessarily getting long-term nutritional value out of them, okay? And I don't know, with some guys on this roster, there are probably some empty calorie guys. And Garrison Matthews came in. He is, he played at Lipscomb in college. He's had kind of a vagabond career. He's in his late 20s, but he also is, like a lot of shooters, can be a streak guy. In order to make room for him, they have waived Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who I thought actually has again, I thought played well in his role, notably pretty good rebounder. But as Isaiah Jackson has started to come into form, the minute distribution between Jay Huff and Jackson, maybe that necessity wasn't as there. And Robinson Earl, not a good mid-range shooter, not a good shooter at all, really. And so Matthews, even though he might be more of a specified one-trick pony, I noticed even when he wasn't shooting the ball well, that when Rick Carlisle was on the morning show on this radio station, as he does each and every week, and was talking with Kevin and James about Garrison Matthews initially, then one of the things, he was very high on him. And he continued to kind of sing his praises and talk about what he can do and what they can get from him, even though he had not played well. And right then I thought to myself, I think he must really see something here. And Rick Carlisle's done a really good job with this roster. Are they going to be a playoff team this year? Probably not. Are they going to be a bottom 3 team now? I think we can also say probably not. But what they've done is they have taken, kind of like the Indiana football MO, they've taken kind of this band of misfits. Not that they're misfits, but you get what I'm saying. Garrison Matthews had no idea at the beginning of the year that he was going to have Tony Bradley as a teammate. Tony Bradley had no idea at the beginning of the year that he was going to be taking a pass in practice from Ethan Thompson. Ethan Thompson never in a million years probably imagined or guessed that he was going to be dishing the ball over to Johnny Furphy and etc. But they have kind of found their footing here in terms of what you are seeing is minute-wise, they do get worn down because you just don't have that same level of depth like you had that became their calling card a year ago. But I think Carlisle's done a masterful job with this group of figuring out and tweaking the way they need to play and actually playing competitively. Oftentimes, they just kind of run out of gas in terms of their rotation. They are having done to them what they did to teams a year ago, where a year ago they were running so fast and so at pace and doing platoon almost like system that by the last 7 minutes of a game, they were never out of it. And they're kind of having that done to them this year where they're having to, they don't have necessarily a platoon type system because I think they're still kind of figuring out combinations. But Garrison Matthews today signing, Robinson Earl out. From the Colts' standpoint, talked about it earlier, is there a change that took place that might be positive towards their outlook from a roster standpoint moving forward? And oddly enough, did the Colts maybe get a little bit of an assist in finding a positive in the negative? I'll explain what I'm talking about on the other side, and Tony East joining us in just under 20.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronize to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. Like deals on your late-night go-tos when the party goes till dawn. And savings on their faves. So date night always passes the vibe check. Plus, when the fam shows up for the weekend, you can show out for breakfast.
Enjoy a $3 sausage McMuffin with egg or egg McMuffin and pair it with a $1.49 any size Coke. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer.
Indy, don't use the beautiful fall to paint. Do what Deanna did. She called Rhino Shield.
I was noticing some cracks and the paint's faded. I was like, okay, I think I should get my house painted. So my neighbor had a Rhino Shield placard in the yard. And after they were finished, I was just, wow. With the warranty and everything, it just seemed silly not to go that route.
The ceramic coating of Rhino Shield is specifically formulated for our climate.
So the Rhino Shield crew came out. Nothing was damaged in the process. I was very happy. They just didn't leave a mess. You couldn't even tell they were there. And the house looked so different. It just looked like a new home.
Backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. And now get the protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Rhino Shield, I think it increases the value and the curb appeal of your home. Definitely worth it.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
911, what's your emergency?
In an emergency, voice is best. But what if you can't call?
Escalated domestic disturbance reported east of downtown. Be advised, alert was received by a 911 emergency text. Caller is hiding in a closet and can't use her voice.
When the situation is too dangerous to make a call, text to 911. Capability now helps Hoosiers. But in most emergencies, voice is still best.
I slid off the road and the airbag went off. The snow's getting heavier. Please hurry.
In the last 5 years, Hoosiers have used text capability in over 1 million 911 sessions. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations. Thanks to the statewide 911 board, Indiana leads the nation with all 92 counties having in- and outbound text capability. For more, visit in911.net.
It's good to hear your voice. Help is on the way.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Guys, you can screw up your fantasy roster, you can whiff on a parlay, but you don't mess up the ring. Go to Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. They only sell natural, hand-selected, top-quality diamonds at competitive prices. And to make it even easier, mention JMV and get $500 off your engagement ring now through Christmas Eve. That's Moyer Fine Jewelers just north of 146th Street in Carmel or online, MoyerFineJewelers.com. Exclusions apply.
Butler welcomes the Providence Friars to Hinkle Fieldhouse, Saturday at 1:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I feel like this means Don Fisher's coming on.
I'm glad you recognize that, Jake.
Yes. I'm very keen of my surroundings and aware of things. By the way, I'd like to thank Mackenzie Newman as well as Wes Everhart. They sent over a little bit of Java House swag, including a nice Query and Company mug.
Tumbler,
yeah, to enjoy my Java House out of. And then this fabulous T-shirt, which, I mean, it's not me that makes the T-shirt look good. The T-shirt makes me look good, right? I'm well aware. There has been plenty of talk, and there will continue to be plenty of talk about Philip Rivers and this, if you want to call it experiment, this experiment is going to be fascinating to watch. And I'm looking right here in the camera at this, in this brand new spacious studio. I'm going to look right at the camera for those of you that can see me. And by the way, you might notice if you are seeing me right now, this studio is beautiful. And the layout of the engineers did a fabulous job in moving us in here, Nick Lopez and his group, in getting us primed and ready, and they deserve all the credit in the world. And I know that that's an esoteric shout out, if you will, but nonetheless, when you are moving a number of radio stations from one facility to the next and getting it prepared, it takes a team, takes a village to do that. And everybody's teamwork in doing that and getting us prepared and ready to go here is greatly appreciated. And it has not been an easy task. I'm certain I know how to do one thing and one thing only, and that is push a button that says on and talk. That's it. So two things. Those are the only two things I know how to do. So the intellectual capability of how these folks are able to do this, it is remarkable, and it is greatly, greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to look right here at this camera right now and say this and make this declaration and this prognostication, even though I talked about the fact that when it comes to meteorology, I wouldn't want to do that job because it's hard to get it right all the time. But I think this one I'm going to be right. Phillip Rivers will start the game on Sunday for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not giving you breaking news. I think most people know that that's probably the reality. Yes, Eddie, you have breaking news?
Jake has a proclamation that Phillip Rivers will be starting on Sunday for the Indianapolis Colts.
Thank you, Eddie Garrison. Much appreciated. Yes, indeed, I think he will. And it's going to go one of two ways. They are bringing in, and I know Jeff called earlier and said, this is an embarrassment. This is a charade. This is a sideshow. This is a clown show. I don't think it's any of those things. I honestly believe what this is an organization with Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen that looked over everything and all of the possibilities and all of the scenarios and said, what gives us the best chance to still get into the playoffs? And one thing that I've learned in covering the National Football League, from Tony Dungy to Jim Mora to Frank Reich to Mike Martz when I was in St. Louis, to Dick Vermeil, one thing that virtually every coach had in common was they would always talk about the playoffs, but they always called it the tournament. Coaches in the NFL, oddly, would call it the tournament. But to them, once you got into the tournament, to use their term, all bets were off. And it was a brand new season. And what happened before that, you kind of had to throw out the window. And you were all fighting for the same goal, the same spot, which was a Super Bowl. And I think the Colts got themselves in position. The Colts went out and they said the goal of every team is to drive to the Pacific Ocean. And they all have to start on the East Coast. So the Colts said, okay, we thought we got a Lamborghini, and it was brand new. It still had the sticker on it. But they told us when we got the Lamborghini that they weren't certain because of some of the issues they had in the shipping of it, whether or not it would ever run at 100%. And they tried out this Lamborghini named Anthony Richardson, and it's a beautiful-looking car, and in space, every once in a while, it would just take off, and it was like, whoa, this thing's awesome. But they just found, they're like, but when we get in traffic, this thing's terrible.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
That's right.
All right, Hamilton.
And at times, it ended up looking like, the car after Spicoli had it, right? Just because it had fast reflexes. And so then
I can fix it.
They said, well, that's the thing. They said, you know what? Our Lamborghini needs something to sit in the garage with and look over and realize that there's something else there. So they went out and they bought a really nice Lexus with 40,000 miles on it. And the guy that was selling them the Lexus, the New York Giants, basically said, look, this thing sputters a lot. And they said, well, I can fix it. My old man's a television repairman. And in fact, that Lexus was humming along, and the Colts got to literally, they were halfway through Colorado on their drive to the Pacific Ocean. And they looked around, and they're like, there's very little traffic around us. And then lo and behold, the Lexus snapped a bearing rod. And so now you're in the situation where I think they looked around and simply said, what gives us the best chance to still make it to the Pacific Ocean? And yes, they could have gone their Lamborghini. Unfortunately, their Lamborghini had a really freak situation where something dropped in the garage and landed on top of it. It wasn't even the Lamborghini's fault, but now it's unavailable. And they have, they've got a Honda Civic that they got new, and it's the bare bones Honda Civic, and it's okay. But they looked at it and they said, what gives us the best chance? And I think realistically, Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen looked at it and said, Phillip Rivers gives us the best chance to complete our drive. A better option than Riley Leonard. It has higher risk for certain. And we don't know exactly how this is going to go. No one knows how this is going to go. And it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to come out and they're going to use a mixed offense of Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren, probably a lot, maybe some Michael Pittman as well, and use the steady hand, and Phillip Rivers is going to look like Peyton Manning early games in Denver of just kind of hand off and game manage, or he's going to come out and it's going to be Kerry Collins for the Colts disaster, and they're going to go, okay, that just did not work. But that realistically, I think, is where they see it as this is the guy right now that gives us the best chance. Now, the other silver lining in all of this, a positive, if you will, if I'm being an optimist, going into the offseason, even if Daniel Jones had never gotten hurt, if Daniel Jones was still playing at a high level, had never had either leg injury, and the Colts, let's say, instead of 8-5, were right now sitting at 10-3, whatever it might be, you knew then that Daniel Jones was your quarterback moving forward. You knew that when they traded not one but 2 first-rounders for Sauce Gardner. We can argue till the cows come home whether or not that was the right move. But you knew that they believed in Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, when you look at this year's list, Daniel Jones right now with 2 bad wheels might still be the best free agent option at quarterback available. What else is out there? Aaron Rodgers, the drama and the consistent whatever of Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Good guy, but I mean, you could tell 3 years ago his arm was cooked. Kenny Pickett, widow hands. I mean, there are not great. Marcus Mariota, who's going to start now and finish the year for Washington as Jaden Daniels is out. Those are your best options. So if they thought Daniel Jones was the guy they needed to resign at the end of this year, his price tag was going to be astronomical because he's the best league option and he's their best option. And right now, he's still their best option. To sign him, let him work with your team. He knows the offense. He knows that he then can come into a situation where if he's worried about his rehabilitation, at least he knows the system. And the only other team that would be the case for would be probably Minnesota, who might also be looking again to go back to that well. But now you're just fighting it out with one team instead of 20. And as the Colts are looking at Alec Pierce and other players, if they, in fact, a year from now are wanting to reacclimate Daniel Jones back into things, hope he gets back to his form and can play beyond that, the price of doing that business is now a small percentage of what it would have been under the other circumstances, notably because for every team in the league, there just weren't other options. Okay, I talked about 10-day contracts, Pacers, 1-year deals, etc. Help us break it all down. Tony East, other side.
The Ride with JMV.
It's not like IU and the program. Scott Dolson and Kurt Signetti just didn't trip into something great here. Oh, all of a sudden we kind of fell into greatness. It's not like somebody, you're getting this inheritance. I mean, Kurt Signetti, his inheritance was crap water for decades. This is the greatest coaching job we have ever seen.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm Mark Boyle, voice of the Indiana Pacers. For your best shot at better water, go local with C&J Water. They're Hoosiers serving Hoosiers, bringing cleaner, safer, better-tasting water to homes across central Indiana. When you purchase a new water softener in November or December, C&J Water donates to the Pacers Foundation, helping those in need here at home. Better water for your family, helping those in need at home and abroad. For your best shot at better water, trust the local pros at C&J Water.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can.
Now, your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with and donate or get involved today.
JMV here for my friend, if you will, with the tone stimulation machine that they have at Premier Weight Loss. You can do the same weight loss journey and then tone up with Thomas and Samantha and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. It will work for you. That's PWLND.com. Mention my name. For the first 10 days in the month of December, you could win 2 lower-level tickets to see the Niners and the Colts. If you want to lose the weight, if you want to feel better, it's PWLND.com. You can do it. Tell them JMV sent you. PWLND.com today.
No matter where you're headed, it's nice to know Hubler's got you covered for 200,000 miles. Visit drivehubler.com or any of the 13 Hubler locations.
From the drivehubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis. Butler welcomes the Providence Friars to Hinkle Fieldhouse, Saturday at 1:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I'm actually going to go watch a little college basketball tonight.
Where are you going?
IU Indy taking on Doug Gottlieb's Green Bay team in the jungle. City Edition jerseys for the Jaguars tonight.
Are you courtside because you're a celebrity?
You know, Eddie, since you asked, and I did not prompt you to ask said question, I will tell you that they have been very good to me over at IUND, and I have been able to do that in the past. But I told Shannon about 3 weeks ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy tickets to go to a game for us to go to IUND, to go to a game for us at Indiana State, and to go to a game for us at Ball State. So I bought those 3, and then, you know, I would assume at some point Hinkle, it goes without saying, is awesome, and then IU and Purdue. But of the, you know, the other D1 schools within the hour driving area. So I'm going Indiana State, I'm going to see them play. I think it's Northern Iowa is the game I'm going to for that. Ball State, I wanted to see Ball State's playing UMass. What league is UMass in now, by the way? Because they play them twice. UMass isn't in the MAC now, are they? Is that the dumbest thing that anybody's ever asked? Am I like way late to the party? But I noticed that Ball State has them on the schedule twice.
They are indeed.
UMass is now in the MAC?
Yeah, they joined this year. First year joining.
Are they in the MAC in football also? Because, I mean, I didn't know. They're one of those weird – I think of like Villanova and UMass and Georgetown as the schools that are basketball D1 only, and then football, it's like 1AA, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, football, yes.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah.
So at any rate, going tonight, and then – so I said to Shannon yesterday, I go, hey, just a reminder, tomorrow night to be fun, that's the IU Indy game that we're going to. And she said, oh – and she has an appointment she has to do at like 5:15, and I'm like, well, okay. So I have an extra ticket to the IU Indy game.
You're just going solo, or
I think I am,
or is this you inviting me? I don't know what this is.
I think I'm going solo. I threw a line out to Byron to see what he's got going on. I never know where he is, and then if not, I might just use the extra leg room, just go. But I bought 2 tickets. I got them right here. Yesterday, I also bought tickets for, and I'm very excited about this, David Byrne.
I now see how Derek Schultz feels all the time.
Would you like to go, Eddie?
I can't.
Yeah, see? Exactly. I knew that, right?
You didn't know that.
I did know that because yesterday we were talking about something we had to do, actually just something I needed you to do for me, and you said you couldn't do it. Because if you recall, and you obviously don't even recall this, but if you recall, because of the fact that I knew I was going to the I needed you to come and lay down some salt because it's supposed to be bad out, and also was going to hire you to do a little shoveling.
Where?
Both my parents' driveway, which is my responsibility, and then I relegate that. And then
You delegate that. You
delegate
don't
that.
relegate it.
Sorry, I relegate you to being delegated to do
Yeah.
it. How's that? And then I also the lot where I live. I was going to pay you like a neighborhood kid. Come
Why
salt
would
some
I
things.
do that for the lot where you live?
I was going to pay you for it.
Well,
But
I would
did-
need it paid from
but-
everybody.
But when I asked if you wanted to do it, you said you had stuff to do. I asked you a while ago, and so then I knew that you couldn't go to the game tonight. But I am going to the game tonight. So if anybody's going to the game, feel free to say hi. Or I could just say right now, if anybody'd like to go, let me know, and I'll pick you up and we'll go. Right? Because I have an extra ticket. For what that's worth.
317-523-9288.
That's right. That's my cell phone number. But I'm still waiting to hear from Byron first. But after that, if you want to go to the IU Indy game.
Do we sure Byron
at the
knows
Jungle.
where his phone is at? He
Very good
loses
point.
everything.
He is traveling, so he might have lost it. Anyway, Colts, obviously, Phillip Rivers. I think he's going to start on Sunday. Pacers, if you're just joining us, Garrison Matthews has been now added to the roster and full-time. I mean, he was already on the roster, but they have now given him, what did you say it is, Eddie, basically an end-of-year deal, correct?
Yes.
He is locked in for the rest of the season, is Garrison Matthews. And he is... Garrison Matthews has the benefit, or had the benefit in this circumstance and situation, of bringing to the table something that very few others had, and that is as good as even last year. As good as the Pacers were a year ago, and when they get going and they're running their offense as their offense, when you have a healthy Tyrese Halliburton, when you have a healthy Aaron Nesmith, when you have a healthy Obi Toppin, and when you had Miles Turner, that offense, as good as it was, and Pascal Siakam as well, obviously, but their three-point shooting ability was largely, I think, dependent upon and based upon and built up by the rapidity with which they could play and move the basketball, then getting people very open looks and opportunity. And I don't know that you would say that there's anybody that is like a pure, quote-unquote, pure shooter, just a marksman shooter. And I'm not trying to oversell what Garrison Matthews is, except for that he's not a one-trick pony. That's unfair also to say, but he does that one thing very well. He's a Duncan Robinson. He's a Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson has made, a guy that played like D3 basketball and then finished at Michigan, but Duncan Robinson has made a living now and done a really good job of being able to go out and he is a designated marksman, sniper, outside shooter. That's what he does. That's why he's on the floor. And you have to be aware of where he is at all times. Speaking of being aware of where he is, by the way, Tony East is out with the Pacers. They are wrapping up practice. We anticipate him joining us
You know who's
once
holding
that
him
does
up,
take
Jake?
place. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Garrison Matthews.
Yes, you're right.
Really?
Yes.
He's interviewing. Well, then we'll be the first to talk to him after that, Tony East, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. The Purdue last night, by the way, against Minnesota, before we get to Tony East. Brian Neubert joined me 1 o'clock. Big story there for Purdue would be this. They rebounded from their loss to Iowa State. That's good news. Early in the game, there was a kind of scary incident. Literally, I think it was the second or third possession. Braden Smith got kind of tied up, got knocked backward, and in doing so, in attempting to essentially break his fall, and we've all done this. You've all done it where, you trip or whatever else, and you reach down to break your fall, and your hand just gets kind of, all of a sudden like snapped backward, if you will. And he did have, apparently after the game, a bandage on said hand. And Matt Painter was asked about it afterwards. Hey, how serious an injury was this? And it was listed initially, I think, as a hand sprain. Braden Smith is the engine that is, of course, driving Purdue basketball. And he played 32 minutes. And so that's what Matt Painter pointed out when it was asked of Matt Painter, how serious is this or how big of concern is this, the injury to Braden Smith? And his answer, I thought Matt Painter's answer was great. Well, he continued to play. So they don't think, at least as of last night, they didn't think it would be a significant injury. But wait, there's more. And I'm not talking about some sort of an infomercial. The there's more would simply be that when you have situations like that, oftentimes those injuries don't really present themselves, or you don't start to see what happens with that until the next day. And there has been no official word yet today, although when we talked to Brian Neubert, kind of no news is good news. And the fact that I think they probably just looked at it and said, you know what, probably dodged one there. And in a market where that has been rare, that's good news. But Braden Smith did Braden Smith things, right? 15 points. He had 12 assists last night. And the way that he moves the ball around and gets others involved. You know, Daniel Jacobson going into double digits. Trey Kaufman-Renn, I thought last night was really good on the low block for Purdue. But Braden Smith, I understand this. I understand this thought. I was talking about Purdue a couple of weeks ago, and I said on the air, you got to love Purdue because they're the number one team in the country. They have one of the best coaches. They have the most consistent roster in terms of in the era of transfers and portal, all that stuff. But they went out and got the one thing that they needed more than anything else would be a hard-nosed rebounder. They got that in Oscar Clough. Trey Kaufman-Renn continues to be Trey Kaufman-Renn. And he is very underrated and underappreciated. Fletcher Lawyer can shoot lights out. And then you have, Harris coming off the bench. I mean, they have been able to sustain and maintain at a very high level as Purdue. But when I was talking about them and talking up the things about Purdue that I liked, I made mention pre-Iowa State game that Braden Smith is the best player in college basketball. And I'm walking into the Colts game, and somebody comes up to me. I'm not going to say his name. I like the dude a great deal, and it wasn't like, it was a fun-hearted debate. It wasn't, but I don't want to throw him under the bus here. But he comes up and he says, "Did I hear you say that Braden Smith's the best player in college basketball?" And I said, I don't recall saying that, but yes, I would have said that because I believe that. And he said, he's not even the best player on his team. And it kind of gets into the debate and the discussion of which is it in the debate and the discussion of most valuable player or player of the year. Is the most valuable player in the NFL the guy that brings the most value to his team and the guy who his team drops the most without him in there? Or is the most valuable player simply the guy that's the best player? And when it comes to the discussion in college basketball, is Braden Smith the best player in college basketball? Well, okay. I get it. There are obviously players around the country that, BYU's probably got two of them, right, that are going to be better long-term NBA player, unique athleticism, top level, can't miss, one and done, would be in the league if they didn't have to be playing in college right now, level players. And there are probably 100 players that would beat Braden Smith in a game of one-on-one. But if you were to survey college basketball coaches, I think they would agree to this. It's like the Heisman Trophy, and this was the case that I made. Is Fernando Mendoza the best player in college football? Has Mendoza had the best season in college football? The Heisman, by definition, is given to the player that had the best season in college football or the best player in college football. Now, Mendoza might have had the best season. It doesn't mean he's necessarily the best player. He's way up there, and he's going to win the Heisman, which is going to be awesome. But when you look at the Heisman Trophy, you say, okay, more often than not, the Heisman Trophy goes towards, and it started to kind of get away from this again, thankfully. You know, Charles Woodson was, you know, he won it over Peyton Manning. Was Peyton Manning the better player? Charles Woodson's pretty elite, obviously. But Woodson was on a team that, with what they did and the stakes they had in games they played, that kind of won it for him. But we got into a period there where the Heisman Trophy was simply going, Troy Smith, really? Jason White, really? It was going to Gino Torretta. The Heisman Trophy was going to the quarterback of the best team. Mendoza is going to win the Heisman, not just because he's had an unbelievable year, not just because he's put his team on his back to answer to things on multiple occasions, but mostly because he is the quarterback of the best team in college football. And who is the quarterback of the best team in college basketball? And yes, they're not ranked number one right now. I get that. And Houston's really good. And, you know, Alabama's really good. Purdue beat them. Michigan's unbelievably good. But there's something about a guy that very clearly has the command of what his team needs, what his team wants, that is running the floor, running the team, getting others involved, distributing the basketball, making game-winning plays, smart player, heady player, the guy that the other team all despises even though they wish they had him, and more so, a guy that raised an interesting point earlier. Garrison,
I raised those?
What's raised an interesting point earlier? Garrison.
I raised those?
What's that?
I raised those? I didn't know that.
Occasionally.
Okay.
But I didn't realize it. So if Eddie White is like the Pacer gift fairy. You just never know when Eddie White's going to show up with cookies or other such things, right? And so Eddie White occasionally has been known to drop off jerseys or that kind of thing or promotional items for the Pacers. And when Eddie White does that, a lot of times he will like put together, you know, he'll give you a jersey of a player, but like with your name on it or a number with your name on it. If you, Eddie Garrison, were to get the jersey of a Pacer player, if you had to get a Pacer player jersey, you know who mine would be, right?
Yep.
That would be who?
You'd probably go Aaron Neesmith.
100%. Every day of the week. And I love the New Balance shoes that he wears. I love them. He's got the best shoes on the team. But if you were to get a jersey, what player would you pick?
I'd probably go Andrew Nimhard.
Okay, I could see that. But if the jerseys on the back of them had the guy's first name, you would have to go with Matthews, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know how. I was never able to put together until you mentioned it that, in fact, there's a Garrison on the roster. I have no idea how I like completely spaced that, right? But he's in the mix for Indiana, and the first opportunity to see him now with a locked-in contract. I mean, he's obviously been in the mix. Philadelphia tomorrow night. Oh, no, is that tomorrow night or tonight? Tomorrow night in Philly.
Tomorrow night, yeah. Tomorrow night in Philly.
My days are all screwed up. My days are all mixed up because we're in the new building, and it feels like a Monday to me. Joining us now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. And if you're watching us right now on the YouTube, you might notice my fabulous Java House t-shirt. Thank you to Mackenzie Newman from Java House for sending that over. But Tony East joining us now. Tony, let's get to this. The contract for Garrison Matthews. This is different than what he like in terms of his title from a week ago. In what way?
Yeah, this is just now a standard contract, right? He's just one of the normal 15 guys that's on the team. And, you know, when you're on a hardship, it's basically an extra roster spot granted for a 10-day period for a team. This is an extra. It's just a regular one, and that's why they had to cut Jeremiah Robinson-Earl to give him that spot. But you know, his shooting and gravity is clearly something this team likes a lot.
Okay, I want to get to this first because we have discussed this, and you know this better than anybody and can explain it, and I will paint myself into a corner if I try to. A guy is allowed to be signed to a 10-day – give me, if you will, Tony, we'll do it this way. How many different types of contracts are there that a player can be under for an NBA team?
Yeah, they can do how many types of contracts?
Yes.
Are you asking?
Yes.
Oh, man, there's so many. like hardship 10 days is what Garrison was on before this. There's standard regular 10 days, which can't even technically be signed by a player until January 5th. There's 2 ways, which, Quentin Jackson's on that. He's going to play for the Boom tonight. There's just regular standard contracts. There's, I guess, non-guaranteed and partially guaranteed contracts.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get the guaranteed and all that, but what I'm saying is in terms of the way that a guy is acquired. So for a 10-day contract,
most of the types that I just ran through.
And the 10-day contract you can only do for a maximum of 30 days. Am I correct in saying that?
You can sign 2 with the same team in a year, but it can end up being as long as what you just said, 30 days, because technically if it's like only 2 games, you're allowed to get a 3rd game. So the timing of the calendar can make it so it's longer. But yes, you can only sign 2 10 days of any kind with a team in a season. That's why Garrison's time had to be, transferred to a different kind of deal if they wanted to keep him now.
Okay, now by getting it, so just for example, though, before Garrison Matthews calls Biff Ward and says, I got to buy a house, before that happens, isn't this the same circumstance that we saw with Mac McClung?
Yeah, he was on a standard deal. He signed because they waived James Wiseman to bring him in, so he was just on a regular non-guaranteed contract that was unrelated to the hardships of the 10 days or anything like that, which is why he was the guy they waived to eventually bring in Monte Morris, because they needed a roster spot to do that. I'm sure this is all super interesting and not confusing.
No, but I guess the reason I'm asking it, Tony, is this, okay? The reason I'm asking it is this indicative of the fact that they see Garrison Matthews as more of a long-term guy than Robinson Earl, or was it that they simply need him for a little bit longer period of time, and this is the way to facilitate that, even though it doesn't mean solidarity long-term?
Yeah, I actually think it's a little bit of both. It certainly is the part you said about potential term. If I just cut out, sorry. The potential long-term for him is there because of the shooting, and that fits with any team, right? He's done that for every single group he's been on, and so his standard deal runs to the end of the season. They can now see, okay, does this fit with the way we play? How does this fit with our offense? And when Tyrese Halliburton comes back, is Garrison Matthews a guy we could put on the floor with any sort of, consistency? And they had, a month and a half to do that with Robinson Earl. I thought Robinson Earl was pretty good, to be honest, but I do understand evaluating shooting quite a bit, and Matthews was doing that on his second 10-day quite a bit. But the other part of this that is relevant is the contracts in the NBA don't become fully guaranteed until January 10th. So they still have a month with Garrison to kind of evaluate even that. If he doesn't prove to be a great fit in this stretch, they could, once again, like they've done so often this season, do another move and bring in somebody else and keep evaluating. And there's worse things to do with your last roster spot. But he is still kind of fighting to prove it both this season and beyond this year. But I think that they believed the shooting was important enough to at least give him a chance to prove that he can belong on this group.
Tony, where do we stand in terms of return for Aaron Nesmith?
Yeah, Rick Carlisle said on Sunday, I believe was when we got into this with him, that closer to the end of the month would be a realistic timeline for Nesmith. I think he said 4 weeks was going to be a certain time amount that he missed when that did happen last month. And I think today is 4 weeks to the day, but he hasn't done a ton of on-court yet, so he's got a couple more weeks to go before he's able to play.
What sort of things have you or Rick Carlisle, 2 different answers, I realize, do you believe that because it seems like 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the guy I'm about to mention, and I don't mean that in terms of his ability, but rather opportunity, in that Johnny Furphy just has not gotten the chance to consistently get out on the floor, but it seems as though they are wanting to really take more and more look at him and get him reps. Ultimately, what is his role going to be?
Yeah, that's, I think, what I and them both are trying to figure out, right, is now that he's back and playing, and like that is the number one thing for him right now, stay healthy and play some games, is kind of like, what are you? Like, what are you actually good at in the NBA in a way that will get you on the floor for the Pacers? Because, there's this outline of a guy who last year was like really good at grabbing rebounds every so often and would play better than his frame defensively and occasionally made shots and had some pop in the G League, but it wasn't all the time, right? So, like, what can he show consistency at skill-wise that will make this team believe, oh, he can guard really well, great. He can be a good defender on the wing, or, oh, he can really shoot it. Like, I don't know what the skill projection that they would be certain about him doing for them is at this time. And I kind of think that's what they hope to see on the floor is him pop in one way or a couple ways that they can say, okay, that's the role that we can see him playing for this team next year or the next time he's playing or relied on a postseason. We know it's because of this. And I don't think they know that. I don't think Johnny Furphy really knows that. He's trying to figure out that in the NBA for him. He's only played 25 real games with rotation chances. A lot of his opportunities have been garbage time through his career. So it's still a lot of figuring it out for everybody. And I think they just want to see him show real solid any skill, and that hasn't quite happened yet.
Tony East joins me, Java House, Peel and Pour guest line. Locked On Pacers, Forbes, WTHR, among those. And then, of course, always kind to be on this radio station. Tony, before we let you go, and I know you want to get to it, you said you had talked to Garrison Matthews, correct?
Yes, we just talked to him today.
Anything out of that? I mean, just in terms of his reaction, approach, et cetera, now with, a little bit more of a deal than what he had yesterday?
Well, I actually think his reaction is telling in a way that is good for a fan explanation because, let's face it, his first 10 day was bad, right? And he even said when he got the second one, he said, yeah, honestly, I was a little surprised that they brought me in for a second one. I think fans need to realize, the players know when they're not playing well and what it feels like and things of that nature. And he was very honest about it. And the second one, he was much better. He had that 15-point game against Cleveland where all the stuff that he can theoretically do for a good team happened. And so I think today he, really explored and kind of, talked about what happened for him on that second one that was so much more effective and how much time matters when you join a team on a hardship because the team you're joining is so injured, you're expected to produce right away, even though you haven't, you might not be in shape, but you've been on the team for all of a day. And so for him, that really was a detriment, right? He couldn't figure out where his shots were coming from. He wasn't making anything. He wasn't in perfect shape. Once he got there, he looked a lot more effective. They started him. He was providing spacing. So it's kind of hard to judge him because half of his time with the team was so poor and half he was pretty effective. And it was, he was kind of getting to the bottom of that today of, how all that shaped for him and what he expects this could look like. And now he knows it's kind of a tryout, right? So he's got to keep trying to produce. But they love the shooting, and I think he knows that he can do that and make everybody's life a little easier.
Hey, real quick, Walker Kessler, Utah. I've heard rumor of interest from Indiana. Buy it or sell it.
I mean, he's a great center, and it's the reason you could buy anything like that with him or Derek Lively or anybody of that nature is if they're good and young, they fit the Pacers timeline now, and they fit their salary structure now. Obviously, Kessler would have to be paid next year, but yeah, he's a good player. He's kind of developing a jump shot. He's a great defender. Yes, he would fit. That'd be a buy. And I think a lot of fans have said something to the effect of, oh, he's out for the year. That's great for the Pacers, right? And in theory, yes, kind of. I mean, I think they'd like to see him play with their players to know what his fit would be, but also that's a good thing for the Jazz, who also may not want to win games this year. So that would be in theory, perk for this year, but also makes him maybe harder to get.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Gives us something to talk about for certain. Tony, appreciate the time as always. We'll look for your coverage in terms of this news today with Garrison, and then, of course, tomorrow night, Pacers and Sixers as well.
Yeah, sorry for being late, guys.
Oh, no worries. Totally appreciate it. Tony East joining us, Java House, Peel and Pour guest line. All right, we come back. It is a Thursday. Lot to talk about when it comes to the Colts and their matchup getting set Sunday for Seattle. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, joins us next.
The Butler basketball season is rolling along. Don't miss your chance to get in on the action. Your next chance to get to Hinkle Fieldhouse to cheer on your Butler Bulldogs is Saturday, December 13th, when the Dogs take on Providence at 2 p.m. Come see the sunlight shine through the windows at iconic Hinkle Fieldhouse for the Big East opener. Be a part of Hinkle Magic and make Hinkle your second home this season. Buy your tickets now at butlersports.com/buy tickets. Get to Hinkle this season.
Hey, it's Tyrese Halliburton. I've met some incredible people right here in Indiana, all waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. Different backgrounds, different stories, but they all had one thing in common: hope. Saying yes to organ donation provides that hope. One organ donor can save up to 8 lives. That's 8 families who get more time together. You have the power to save lives. So next time you're at the BMV or even right now at donatelifeindiana.org, say yes to organ donation.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who never lies. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through December 21st, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
This year, make Christmas cash with Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Raised Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling, family owned in Indy for 3 generations, are names you know and trust. Bring in your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, or brass and turn it into holiday spending money. Whether you're decking the halls, buying gifts, or just want a little extra jingle in your pocket, cash is king at Farnsworth.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. Really, we did choose Galaxy, and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, naps, piles of wrapping paper. Then Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. And just like that, the holiday fun is back in play. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Gift responsibly.
Hey, JMV, thinning hair this year. Grow your hair back like I did. Call 317-522-2995 or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Phillip Rivers is back with the Colts, and I can say this, there is zero way that at 44 years of age, you decide to come out of retirement after 5 years and then go back and start playing when you're not playing. You're not going to stand on the sideline and hold a clipboard. You're not there to teach. You're there to play. And, of course, you're there to win games, by the way, too.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. What's happening on West 56th? Presented by Shelby Materials, the concrete and aggregate experts. We'll find out in 30 seconds.
Do you want to work for a company who has your back? You can count on Shelby Materials. Shelby Materials has 10 ready-mix locations in central Indiana and is looking for Class B CDL drivers. Highlights include being home every night and every other weekend off during peak season. Shelby Materials stands behind its work, products, and people. We support our employees with competitive wages and benefits, including 401k, PTO, paid holidays, HSA, and a sign-on bonus. Learn more about your next opportunity by visiting ShelbyMaterials.com.
Now, what's happening on West 56th? Brought to you by Shelby Materials, the concrete and aggregate experts.
So let's find out exactly that. We know the big story of what's happened on West 56th Street over the course of the last 72 hours or so, but Matt Taylor is the voice of the Colts, joins us on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. You will hear Matt on the call from one of my favorite cities in all the land, Seattle, coming up on
not just yours
Sunday. Eddie, I know you love Seattle, right? What about Matt? Matt, you like Seattle?
I don't have a really good opinion on Seattle. I think I've only been there like 3 times, and they've all been for Colts games. I did see the Eagles one time, not like the Philadelphia Eagles, but like the band, the Eagles. I saw them the night before a game one time out there, which was awesome. They played at the baseball stadium across the street. So based on that, I have a really good, strong opinion about Seattle.
You know, actually, the Eagles are an interesting story because they're kind of like Phillip Rivers when it comes to football. You can check out, but you can never leave, right? And the fact that, here he is back from retirement. I want to get into that, obviously, Matt, and I just had to jump on the segue. But let's begin with the story that I think the Phillip Rivers story kind of overshadowed, and that is the one of, and I totally understand it, and I have the utmost respect for Charvarius Mooney-Ward and the decision to put him on IR because of going into the concussion protocol for the third time. I would hope that all fans understand the legitimacy of something like that and the respect of when it is concussions and multiple ones. You don't mess around with that stuff is what I'm getting at. But from a football standpoint, what does that mean for the Colts now without Sauce Gardner as well and their defensive backfield?
Yeah, you're going to be playing with guys like Jalen Jones and Mekhi Blackman coming up on Sunday, and that's a huge storyline in this game because the Colts, Lou Anarumo talked about it on Tuesday when he met with reporters. The biggest things the Colts have to start cleaning up on defense is they got to get more pressures up front, and they got to stop giving up too many big plays in the passing game. We looked it up today. The Colts have given up 22 completions over 15 yards in the last 3 games, and they only have 6 sacks combined in the last 3 games, and even that's kind of distorted because the Colts got goose-egged against who they play last week. I'm drawing a blank. It's been Jacksonville. Yeah, it's been kind of a blur with this whole Phillip
I was about to jump in and say Houston, so yeah, I'm with you, right?
Right, but no quarterback hits, no quarterback pressures or sacks by the Colts pass rush last week. Now they are getting DeForest Buckner back this week. That's going to be a huge aid, I should say, up front. But it's really concerning because you're going up against Jackson Smith and Jigba, who leads the NFL in receiving yards. He's a big play machine. They've got Rashid Shaheed, who's also a dynamic player on offense and on special teams. And, oh, by the way, the last time he played the Colts, I think he's still running. He had 3 catches for 153 yards and a 58-yard touchdown in that game against the Colts back in 2023 with the Saints. So he's been a huge acquisition for them coming over at the trade deadline. But the biggest part of Sam Darnold's resurgence the last 2 years, and by the way, he is 24-6 record-wise since last year when he took over as the starter with the Minnesota Vikings. It's his deep ball. They are throwing the deep ball with him, and he is incredibly accurate. He loves to do it. He leads the NFL in completions over 25 yards since the start of last season. So when you're playing against, I should say, a quarterback like that who has the willingness to do it and the weapons on the outside to accomplish it, and you're down your 2 starting cornerbacks, that's a concern for the Colts. Those guys are going to play a huge part in the Colts' success, and hopefully they tone that down a little bit in the defensive secondary on Sunday.
Matt, oddly enough, because it's not a team that jumps out at you, and I think we know that at their ceiling, we know how high-flying Buffalo can be, and we know how dynamic Philadelphia can be, and et cetera. But if you look at balance and ways in which a team can win and control the pace of a game, is Seattle when healthy, the best team in the NFL right now?
I think you're so spot on that. I'm glad you brought that up. They are so balanced and so good on both sides of the ball. They're number 2 in scoring offense, number 2 in scoring defense. And another thing that's really important is that they're winning in the passing game on both sides of the ball. Like I said, Seattle really loves to push it with Sam Darnold. They're number 1 in yards per attempt on offense, and they're number 1 in yards per attempt on defense. And they're giving up like under 80 passer rating to the opposition. So it's really concerning how good they are on both sides of the ball. Plus, you're playing them there at Seattle, Lumen Field, where that place is just architecturally built to, keep the noise in and keep it centered on the field. I think Phillip Rivers obviously is getting a lot of the pub and the attention this week, and rightfully so, considering that storyline and how unique that it is. But let's not forget who the Colts are actually playing. It's a 10-3 team that's incredibly balanced. They've got stars on both sides of the ball, and the Colts are just desperate to get a win and try to, they're 8-5 right now, trying not to squander that 7-1 start.
Matt, it's funny you mentioned Jacksonville because when you go back and look at that game, Matt Taylor, my guest, voice of the Colts, is on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. When you look at what the Colts defensively struggled to do with Trevor Lawrence, he had, I think, 30 dropbacks. He was not pressured. They did not get a sack. And it's easy to pinpoint towards, and probably right to pinpoint towards, hey, granted Buckner's not out there, but Liatu Latu and Kwity Paye, and why are these guys not getting pressure? How much of that, though, is because you were down essentially 2 corners and and CJ Stroud has quick release. So as a result, you weren't able to get any sort of coverage sacks. How symbiotic are those 2 areas of a defense for that statistic?
Yeah, I mean, I think they go hand in hand, especially within this defense with Lou Anarumo that wants to be aggressive, that wants to dictate things in the secondary to the opposition. They want to be afforded the ability to play press man-to-man and shut down people on the outside, and that will create more I say shadow of a doubt, if you will, within the pocket by the quarterback, and that gives more time for the pass rush to get home. And I've said this before, and I don't know if this makes sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to me. I think the Colts have the ability to play press man-to-man without Sauce Gardner and no Charvarius Ward, who, by the way, Ward's not going to be out there for the rest of the season, the regular season, because he's on IR for a second stint, so he's going to miss the last 4 games of the season. But I think Jones can do it. I think Blackman can do it. It's not whether they can do it. It boils down to their willingness to do it. With Lou Anarumo not having those, traditional all-pro shutdown corners with Ward and Gardner out there. So that's what I'm eager to see how it all plays out on Sunday. Is if you're going to sit back and play strictly zone with Shaheed and Smith and Jigba, I got bad news. It could be a long day for that secondary. So maybe they have more of a willingness to do it in a game like this to give themselves a chance against one of the best receiving corps in the NFL.
Matt, lastly, look, I'm not going to put you in the position to make this declaration. I think
do it. Just do it. Go ahead. I don't even care. Back me into a corner.
Phillip Rivers starting Sunday?
I think so.
Look at that. I mean, yeah, right?
That's just my gut. I mean, it really is. That's my gut. I mean, you can kick this around a million different ways. I just think it all boils down to the fact that the Colts are 8-5, and they so desperately need to get a win. And again, try not to squander that 7-1 start. And believe it or not, and I thought the Indy Star guys did a really good job of it today. I want to champion their hard work on it because, we can sit here and talk about it in the big picture. Okay, it's December, it's week 15, the trade deadline is come and gone. Like, what's your best option? Who are you going to bring in that's better than Phillip Rivers? And, they did a really good job of actually putting some context around it. I think they unearthed the fact that, since the beginning of the season, there's been 16 quarterbacks that have been brought in around the NFL for tryouts. And of those 16, only 6 have ever started a game in the regular season. So, I mean, you follow what I'm saying? The pickings are pretty slim. And, Phillip Rivers, I understand that, he's been out of the game for so long. He's 44 years old, and he's a grandfather and all of these things. But he, basically invented this offense that the Colts are running right now and knows it like the back of his hand and is, basically best friends with Shane Steichen. And so, you from a mental standpoint and a football IQ acumen perspective, you give yourself a pretty good chance to win. It just boils down to whether or not he can navigate the pocket and not take hits and not turn the football over. So, again, if you were 2 and whatever, then probably Riley Leonard plays. But you're 8-5 trying to make the playoffs, and you've got to give yourself the best chance historically to win this game. And I think that's why my gut tells me it's probably going to be Phillip Rivers.
Do you think that Phillip Rivers is starting if they thought – in other words, is this about Riley Leonard injury or Riley Leonard simply not being ready necessarily to – and no knock on him. He's a young player, right? You get what I'm saying, right? Is it the injury or is it just, hey, we think this guy gives us a better chance because he's better suited for the situation?
I think it's just about the experience of Phillip Rivers, and it's about the mastery of the offense and his relationship with Shane Steichen. And again, they're 8-5, not 5-8. That's what I think it boils down to.
Yep. All right, Matt, appreciate it. Best of luck, or not best of luck. I mean, you know what you're doing. Best of enjoyment in Seattle, because I love it. I think Seattle's I know you're in and out there on a work trip, but it is a fabulous city. But appreciate the time as always. Safe travels, all right?
All right, appreciate you guys.
All right, Matt Taylor joining us on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. We'll come back. It is the crossover brought to you by Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website. 317-353-2141 that typically takes place this time of day with John when he's in studio. But John is out at, I believe, the Mousetrap up on the north side. So we will be handing it off to him at about 3 o'clock. And again, with the new studio that we have here, John's on his way up there, so we will just throw it out to John coming up at about 3 o'clock. But do want to emphasize that crossover and Love Heating and Air, love-hvac.com, 317-353-2141, over 100 years in Indianapolis.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. Like deals on your late night go-tos when the party goes till dawn. And savings on their faves. So date night always passes the vibe check. Plus, when the fam shows up for the weekend, you can show out for breakfast.
Enjoy a $3 sausage McMuffin with egg or egg McMuffin and pair it with a $1.49 any size Coke. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer.
The Fan cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at 1075thefan.com.
Indy, stop using the fall to paint year after year. Do what Lynn did. She called Rhino Shield.
It is a single-wide manufactured home. We moved from our home, which we had the Rhino Shield on. Rhino Shield was what we were going to do. That was no question. We knew we were going to do it.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's not paint, it's better.
The Rhino Shield representative came and we discussed what we wanted done. And this time we had the roof done as well.
Now you can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Even the people that have been a little younger than us have said they don't have to worry about getting just an everyday painter because Rhino Shield has the 25-year warranty. And we truly believe in this product.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This is Window Nation, your source for affordable replacement windows at the highest quality. Your old windows, they're not keeping in the heat in the winter. They keep letting the heat in during the summer. And they're certainly keeping your energy bill way higher than it needs to be. You need the pros at Window Nation with installation precision and experience that are second to none. They'll also be in and out of your house faster than any other service. Their custom-made windows are guaranteed to be a perfect fit in your home. And they back it up with the best warranty in the industry. It's why they've maintained an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So stay cozy in winter, chill in the summer, and save money year-round. Get a great deal on replacement windows from Window Nation today. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90NATION for your free estimate. And for a limited time, get 50% off all window styles, plus pay no interest for 5 years. Go to getwindownation.com or call 866-90NATION.
Feeling stuck on your own 10-yard line in the career game? Maybe it's time to just go for IT. My Computer Career has the game plan to score a rewarding new IT career in months. Whether you're a rookie, a breakout career changer, or a military veteran ready to serve. Why spend years chasing a college degree when you can fast-track your future in IT starting now? Take your mark, get set, go for IT. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu today. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/play.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Turn things all the way up and find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy. audible.com/joy.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you, because you can't be pinned down. Unless you want to be. Your first love story is free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
J&B up next, out at the Mousetrap. Awesome place, by the way. That's a great place up on North Keystone, and great folks in there. No doubt about that. Be fun to go up, enjoy a cold one. Diet Coke perfectly sufficient if you would like to go up, although obviously they will be having their own beverages flowing, Will, John, and the group. Coming up here at 3 o'clock, we will throw it out to them. Couple of house cleaning, I should say, items to get to. Number one, again, want to point out, and not to belabor the point, but to move, gosh, what is it? I mean, over 10 radio stations from, where we were on Monument Circle. And again, this radio station, along with B105, Hank FM, and WIBC, we were the 4 stations that were owned by Emmis Communications when we were acquired some, 2.5 years ago by Radio 1. And at that time, the Radio 1 building, which is on the near north side of Indianapolis, just outside of downtown, off of Meridian Street, Radio 1 had their own existing radio stations, and in order to accommodate for this new, Brady Bunch family of radio stations, we were working and staying in the Emmis building until they could get this building ready to go. And so we made the move yesterday, and, it's a pretty arduous task for the engineers and for the folks that are getting everything situated and ready. You're talking about all of the people that are coming over from sales and promotion and business aspect and marketing, all of it, all moving from one location to the next is a tall task. And certainly it was a pleasure and an honor to broadcast from Monument Circle and to do so in our old building, which was a beautiful facility. And now moving into this one, there are a number of people from the engineer standpoint that have worked tirelessly to get this building ready to go, and they deserve a huge thank you and a huge tip of the cap for getting us in here to broadcast in what is now, for a lot of them, their previous home, and for us, a new home. So appreciate that. Also wanted to point out, got a message yesterday from Firefly, formerly the Children's Bureau, and their hope for the holidays. You have heard me promoting it a lot. And if you need the link, they are still accepting those that would like to sponsor a child or a family for the holidays. And these are often very modest requests. Kids that have been in situations where they've been displaced. They were at a home where mom and dad, something took place where Child Protection Services has intervened, and they are living at Firefly until the situation resolves itself, or family services. Firefly's been around for over 175 years, and they've helped out families and children and families of need for nearly 2 centuries now in the state of Indiana. But families can also sign up for, if they need that help at Christmas, and oftentimes it's kids that want socks, a T-shirt, clothing. I had somebody one time, one of their Christmas wish lists was a bottle of body wash. You think about that, right? And they make it very simple for you to go, and they have the Amazon wish list right there. You can click on it, you can make a donation, and you can have it sent directly to Firefly, or you can get it yourself and then drop it off with a drop-off point. But they still have just over 300 of those that children or families that are looking to be adopted and sponsored and supported for the holidays. So certainly wanted to point that along. If you need the link to find out how you can become involved and sponsor a child or a family in the way that they have set it up, then certainly I will pass that along. If you want to text me, 317-523-9288 is my cell phone number. That's 317-523-9288. All right, John is up next, and we will get it out to him. Again, Thank you on the program today, Tony East, for discussing with us and explaining the situation. Garrison Matthews now on a standard contract with the Pacers, and Jeremiah Robinson Earl has been waived to make room for that. Thanks to Brian Neubert for coming on, and not only, as he does in an uncanny sense, having a fun, self-deprecating humor and playing along with things, but also explaining to us just Purdue, Minnesota, recapping it from last night, and then looking forward with the Braden Smith and the injury to the hand and what that may mean. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, joining us, talking about Phillip Rivers, that silver lining, if you will, about Daniel Jones and what this means and helping out the Colts for next year. We will get more into that probably tomorrow. And thank you to Jeff for calling in and being the first to do so on the new system. So, for Eddie Garrison and for everybody working hard here, John is up next at the Mousetrap. You have plenty of time to get out. And I thank you for listening to Query & Company.
The Ride with